Beautiful friend, welcome to the wild and bumpy ride of the November 2025 astrology. I'm calling this month from turbulence to ease and flow. Why do I say this? Because we're going to be riding a bit of an emotional roller coaster as Uranus is going to retrograde back into Taurus for the very last time in our lifetimes. And throughout the month, a number of the personal planets are going to be opposing Uranus, which is one of the most intense transits we can have. Expect the unexpected, shocks and discombobulating events. But big picture, with the sun in deep diving water sign Scorpio, illuminating the truth. And later on in the month, the sun in fiery, expansive Sagittarius, we are supported this month to transform. Not only this, Mercury is going to turn retrograde, and so we don't yet know the whole story. Fortunately, and here's the ease and flow part, November is also going to bring us a number of very supportive transits to boost our faith and our trust as we move through some of the uncertainty and potential chaos. Now, to help you navigate through these energies, in part one of this video, I'm going to go day by day and let you know what are the key transits, how you can move through them with the most ease and grace, and who will feel the new and full moons most intensely. And at the end of part one, I'll be giving you tips for navigating the month's energies, so stay tuned till the end if you'd like that guidance. In part two, as always, I'll be doing your monthly horoscopes, letting you know where the key transits of the month are happening in your natal astrology chart based on your rising sign, and pulling an oracle card for each of the signs as well. So I'm super excited to get into this roller coaster ride of a month, and most importantly, help empower and hopefully inspire you to prepare for this month rather than being scared by the transit's intensities. So before I dive in, I want to say a warm welcome and hello to those of you who are brand new to the channel. If you're watching for the first time, this is a like-minded community. If you're highly sensitive or empathic on a spiritual or ascension path, you are in the right place. Take a moment to tap that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a video. If you've been watching my videos, welcome back. I am so glad you're here. And if we're just now meeting, I'm Betsy. I'm a psychic astrologer and intuitive life coach. It is my passion and dedication to illuminate your fate and destiny, your strengths and gifts and challenges as they show up in your soul's blueprint, your natal astrology chart. So if you'd like to do a private astrology consultation with me, stay tuned till the end of the video. I'll tell you more about my offerings. And if you'd like to get my weekly inspirational astrology updates, along with my free gift, instant download, stay tuned till the end. I'll tell you what the free gift is and how you can get it. Or you can go to my website, subscribe for free to get those weekly updates direct to your inbox before they go out on social media, and you will get your free instant download gift right away. Now, my friend, keep in mind that all of the transits that I speak about in this video, the degree to which you feel them will depend on whether they are activating the natal planets and points in your astrology chart. Not everyone is going to feel every transit intensely, but many of them we will all feel collectively. They may play out in our surroundings or with people that we spend time with. The month begins with the sun in passionate, deeply emotional water sign Scorpio. This is where truths are revealed. This is where unconscious revelations come to the surface to help us transform. The sun will be in Scorpio until the 23rd of the month. Also, Mercury, the planet of communication, our thinking, our conversations, information, and news, will be in fiery Sagittarius, the sign of the seeker. You could feel like you're on a quest. You could be on a learning journey. You could feel quite fired up over whatever is expanding you, whatever you are taking in, or new experiences, new adventures that you might be having. But keep in mind that Mercury is going to go retrograde this month, and so our plans may change. A key theme of this month, we don't yet know the whole story. On November 2nd, Venus, the planet of love, beauty, pleasure, comforts, I like to call it the planet of all the delicious things in life. Venus in Libra, a very social energy, is going to make a square to Jupiter in Cancer and an opposition to Chiron in Aries. So what does this mean? in matters of the things that are most important to our preferences, love, relationships, and yes, our finances too. There could be, and this could be very brief. I mean, this is a transit you might feel November 1st, November 2nd, or the 3rd. All of the transits I talk about, you could feel a day or two before, a day or two after. But you may have with Chiron, we call it an ouch or a vulnerability or a tenderness that can get triggered so that we can heal it. And when Venus squares Jupiter, it can be an over the top, feel good transit, but it can also be where we go too far. We indulge too much. Our emotions are amplified. So the antidote to both of these transits, and again, it could be something that feels great, at least in the moment while it's happening. The antidote is to focus on your self-care, to take extra, exquisite, self-loving action, especially if that would make you feel more emotionally secure, more bonded, more protected in your relationships with loved ones. Jupiter in Cancer. On November 3rd, Mars in Scorpio, and this is very focused, driven kind of energy, very protective as well. Mars in Scorpio at the critical 29-degree point, which is the ending, the culmination of the energy, making it that much more intense. Mars will make a trine, a beautiful, feel-good, flowing trine to Neptune retrograde in Pisces. I have a separate video for you on Neptune retrograde in Pisces that I encourage you to watch. I will link it above here in the little banners. But I want to say that Mars trining Neptune can be a lot of wind underneath your sails, inspiration, motivation, devotion even, to take some sort of action in the direction of your dream or to release a dream. Because remember, Neptune retrograding at 29 degrees of Pisces also symbolizes a dream or energy or part of us, part of our conditioning, leaving, releasing, washing away. But this is a passionate transit. And you could completely, with this transit, get swept away in music, get swept away in love or watching a movie or through an art project. There could also be some sort of karmic or fated moment with another person or situation, or a karmic ending, a soul contract being closed out could happen with relative ease. The next day on November 4th, Mars will shift into Sagittarius. So at 0 degrees of Sagittarius, which is the energy of new adventures, wisdom, spiritual expansion. I want to tell you what I'm learning because I'm so excited about it, or I want to plan a trip to an exotic location. Mars in Sag on November 4th will immediately oppose Uranus retrograde in Gemini. Mars opposing Uranus, the planet of shake things up, wake us up. It's a wild card energy. Uranus can bring breakages, electrical lightning storms, the power going out, internet glitches, you get the idea. And I have to say, this can be a forceful or aggressive energy because Mars in its lowest octave is conflict, is dissension, can be violence even. But here's the thing, it can also be excitement. Mars opposite Uranus can be something really unexpectedly joyful, exciting, stimulating. Because this is a stimulating transit, it can disrupt our sleep, and grounding our energy is very, very important. Uranus is retrograde. Sometimes that means more of that unexpected energy plays out through revelations, epiphanies. That's the way we really want to receive it, right? But remember, Uranus is a breakdown, breakthrough, breaking free energy. Uranus always wants to free and liberate us so that we can take that step to be more authentically true to ourselves. And we are moving into a new timeline, aka a new consciousness. Many of you have already done that. So sometimes it's the shock or jolt that quantum leaps us into the new job, new relationships, basically picks us up and puts us down in a place that we're meant to be. Now, the next day on November 5th, we have the Taurus full moon. Taurus rules material security, the financial markets, money, beauty, pleasures, how we experience the playground of life, our five senses, our possessions. It's also connected to earth energy. It's an earth sign, very much connected to seismic activity, extreme weather patterns. Very possible during this full moon that we'll have volatile financial markets, Remember, Mars is opposing Uranus. That will continue during the full moon. And full moons always amplify the energies emotionally because they're oppositions. You on one side, the other person on the other side. We feel them in our relationships. Of course, as always, I'll do a deeper dive separate video for you on this full moon. But I want to let you know that it is happening at 13 degrees of Taurus. So those of you who have planets or points between 9 and 17 degrees of Taurus or the other fixed signs of Scorpio, Leo, or Aquarius, you will feel this full moon most intensely. And remember, it could be any of the planets or points in your natal astrology chart, not just your rising sign. This full moon could just as much bring excitement, a manifestation, an ending, a completion, as a very uncomfortable, discombobulating moment. But with that Mars-Uranus opposition, I'm sure we will feel this on the world stage. During this full moon, there's a very supportive transit, I'm so happy to say, between Mars and Sagittarius, sextiling. This is a super harmonious transit, sextiling Pluto in Aquarius. So there will be, especially if we take the initiative and we're looking for it, we're asking the divine for answers, we're doing our prayers, we are setting our intentions to receive an upgrade, because Taurus is tied to the good life, the material things in life that make us feel more comfortable and secure. If we're working with these energies consciously, there will be an opportunity with Mars sextiling Pluto for us to take back our power and to seize an opportunity or a solution. So this could turn out to be a very fruitful full moon. As I'm going through these energies, I feel this month is just going to fly by because there is so much powerful energy happening on a daily basis. On November 6th, Venus is going to change signs. Venus is going to leave the lighter social air sign of Libra, the sign of balance and harmony. In October, we were meant to regain our footing, to reset that sense of things are in balance and there's equal give and take and all of that. Venus was helping us with that in October. Now, when it enters early November, the deep water sign of Scorpio, we enter a zone of going underneath the surface to reveal what has been hidden, and that can be passion or pain, I have to say. Scorpio, after all, is the sign of death and rebirth, transformation. It's deep, it's very sensual, it's very private, and it rules our emotional and sexual intimacy, as well as investments, taboos, loans, taxes, and big picture, our emotional attachments. The things that we don't want anyone to mess with. That's Venus in Scorpio. The things we rely on, what we call our dependencies. And right away, this Venus is going to be challenged. On November 7th, she will be challenged by Pluto. She will square Pluto in Aquarius, and this is likely to be another volatile time in the stock market, or just a continuation of that. And for those of you who have nothing to do with the financial markets, I mean the economy, we may feel it that way as well, but also we'll feel this, some of us, in love and relationships. One of my favorite quotes by Michael Bernard Beckwith is, you can either be pulled forward by passion or pushed by pain. That perfectly expresses Venus squaring Pluto. There's definitely an intensity to it. You could find yourself in an intense conflict with another person. You could be hooked by love, or a past love could come back into your life or could come up in a memory. This is also the zone of addictions, of abuse, I'm sorry to say, deceptive or dangerous behavior. This transit is the zone of red flags. If you see a red flag come up, my friend, run the other way. I know that sounds like extreme advice, but Venus square Pluto is that kind of transit. So clear boundaries are very, very important. Self-care and remembering that rejection is God's protection. It's a great transit to be swept away by your own creativity. Just know that you might be so obsessed, before you know it, it's 4 a.m. and you're still working on your project. Now, synchronistically, when we have this intense Venus square Pluto transit on the 7th, we also have Uranus going back into Taurus. Uranus has already been retrograde. It will retrograde back into Taurus. And interestingly, a sign that's ruled by Venus. We often feel Uranus retrogrades more intensely on the day that they station. For those of you who are wondering, Uranus will be in Taurus, both on the retrograde and then when it moves direct for 5.5 months until finally it moves back into Gemini on April 26th of 2026. So 5.5 more months of Uranus and Taurus, the very last pass in our lifetimes, not to return for another 84 years. I hope that during this transit we get many freeing epiphanies. I hope that we have breakthroughs, that we feel like we're breaking free. There may be some breaking down that happens before that. That tends to be part of that process. On a very practical note, if you have a device or a vehicle or anything else mechanical that has been giving you problems, you might want to take care of it before you have an unexpected breakdown. Remember that we're looking back to issues that probably came up when Uranus was in Taurus before. We don't yet know the whole story, but we know that this is tied to our self-worth, our self-love, our sense of deserving, our aligning our life with our values. So doing abundance affirmations would be helpful, keeping your vibration high. And I know that that is probably going to be a bit of a roller coaster this month. Clearing any limiting beliefs, any subconscious beliefs having to do with your finances, with what you deserve, with material security would be a really good way to use this energy. Now, just 2 days after Uranus retrogrades back into Taurus, Mercury will station retrograde. This Mercury retrograde will begin at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. It will move back to 20 degrees of Scorpio. And this will be an especially potent Mercury retrograde because Mercury will activate Uranus. And Uranus is considered the higher octave of Mercury. So the retrograde begins November 9th, it ends November 29th, not including the pre-retrograde shadow time, which we're in now, and the post-retrograde shadow that will take us into the first part of December. On November 11th, we will have our third retrograde. This one is Jupiter in Cancer retrograding, meaning that the blessings that Jupiter tends to bestow, the expansion, the good fortune, we're likely to feel it more internally, more as aha moments, more as moments of transcendence, of building faith from the inside out. And our human selves, we want the outer blessings, right? We want the things that we can touch and feel. But if we remember that our outer blessings come from our inner landscape, then we can appreciate that a Jupiter retrograde is creating more fertile soil for the long-term joys, blessings, and gifts that the universe wants to grant us, and also just waking up even more to the fact that we are, from the inside out, co-creating our reality. I also love that Jupiter retrograde tends to offer more spiritual protection, and it won't be until March 12th of 2026 that Jupiter goes direct again. On November 12th, Mercury retrograde will make a conjunction to Mars. How we experience this will depend on how we use this energy. A Mercury retrograde conjunct Mars can really fire up the mind. Now, the mind can be a bad neighborhood. So if we're not in our higher octave mind connected to the higher intelligence, to the expansive mindset of everything is possible, if we're not connected to that, it could be crazy making, right? We could have more arguments, technical glitches, frustration and anger, Mars. But if we are in that higher octave of love, gratitude, feeling confident and courageous, we could have an intense revelation and then take action on it. This could be quite productive. I do want to say, though, and most of you already know this, Mercury retrogrades are not the best time to launch something new. They are ripe times for reassessing, reviewing, looking back, or fine-tuning, repairing, refining, but also getting those divine downloads and epiphanies that truly do set us free. Now, November 17th feels to me like a rainbow coming out after a hard rain, the sun shining through the clouds. Why do I say this? We have I'm calling this a power day because we have 3 very positive, harmonious transits this day. First of all, we have one of the best transits we could ever have, which is the sun trining Jupiter in Cancer. Now, Jupiter is retrograde, so it's possible that this is something we have already experienced before, whatever's coming up, and we're revisiting it in retrograde style, or we're having an aha moment or some sort of very positive mindset shift. But this is an all-around feel-good transit. I mean, the sun is our life force. The best, most flowing aspect we could get, trining Jupiter, the most expansive planet. It could feel like the sun coming out on your life, finally. I love this transit. If you want to make the most of this, I would plan something with someone close to you. Cancer energy is connected to home, family, our loved ones, our mother, our own mothering our inner child, or indulging in your favorite comfort food. Now, on the same day, the sun is also going to make a trine to Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Sun trine Saturn wants to solidify a plan, an agreement, something long-lasting, something that we want to be permanent. It can be a commitment. But remember, Saturn's retrograde, so what does that mean? It's probably an issue that's coming back up that we have already worked with, and now maybe we're resolving. Or because it's Saturn retrograde in Pisces, and Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, representing endings and completions, this transit could facilitate a letting go, releasing of a situation, relationship dynamic, something that's drained you. You could find that you are releasing it easily this day or around this day. And there's more. There's more. We are also going to have Mercury retrograde in Sag, making a beautiful sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. Information, news, communications, conversations, or divine downloads that bring you a sense of empowerment, that help you transform. And this could play out as a tangible opportunity, a solution, as long as you take the initiative. You make the call, you do the meditation and get the idea, and then act on it. You are proactive. Now, 2 days later, on November 19th, we get some more turbulence. Mercury retrograde in Scorpio will make an opposition to Uranus retrograde in Taurus. Interestingly, this day, November 19th, is the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde. Why might that be significant? Because we often get a gift of clarity. Whatever our Mercury retrograde new awareness or understanding, that often comes at the halfway point in a Mercury retrograde. And at the same time, we've got this opposition to Uranus, also retrograde, and Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. I think that Uranus retrograde wants to upgrade us because it's in Taurus, and Taurus energy wants the good life, wants a better financial situation. It supports us to feel more materially secure in these bodies on this earth with the stuff, the physical stuff that brings us comfort. And when I was preparing for this video, a story came to me related to this transit that I'm going to share with you briefly. Because often when we have a very discombobulating, shocking Uranus moment, we don't know what's coming, right? We don't know what is going to happen afterward. And that's hard. So as an example, when I was just 12 years old, I was in junior high. And if you go back to your own moments of being in around that time in the US, it's 7th to 8th grade, but just 12 to 13, it's a very in-between time, right? Our bodies are changing. A lot of us are going through puberty. It can be a very emotionally difficult time. And what happened for me was my parents decided to move from our home in California, where I was raised, to Arizona in the middle of the school year. My dad got transferred, so we moved, and we were all miserable there. We were only there for 7 months. And fortunately, my dad got transferred back and we were able to move, and we were all thrilled. We were so happy. We just wanted to go home. So I called my best friend, who had been my best friend for years, since elementary school. I called her and said, "Guess what? I get to move back to California. I can't wait to see you." But I said, "I have to ask you something. A couple of nights ago, I had a horrible dream. I had a really bad dream. In my dream, I called you and told you I was moving back, and you told me you didn't want to be my friend anymore." And then I hear this silence on the other end of the phone. She proceeds to tell me all of the things she doesn't like about me and how my dream was correct. When I came back, when we moved back, she didn't want to be my friend anymore. So you can imagine, I'm in junior high. I'm about to go back to my childhood home, minus my best friend. So we move back. I'm at my new junior high school in California. I'm in the girls' restroom. And apparently I looked very, very sad because a vivacious girl with brunette hair, very tall, a girl I didn't know, says to me, "You look so sad. What's wrong?" And for whatever reason, I immediately felt connected to her. I felt safe with her, and I told her. My best friend dumped me. I got dumped. I just moved back and I have no friends. And she's standing there with a couple of other girls, and she immediately puts her arm around me and says, "You can be our friend." And we saw each other through thick and thin for decades after that. Why did I tell you this story? Because Uranus and Taurus wants to upgrade us. It wants to give us a new solution. It wants to gift us with a workaround. It wants to bring us a new opportunity. It wants to put us in alignment with our current vibration. If we are in a situation, a relationship, a job, or location that is too low vibration for us, it will kick us out. It will give us the boot from that and align us with an upgrade. And that's what happened with my new best friend. So whatever happens around that time, my friend, keep the faith. And it could be that you're more aligned with you. Blessing shows up that very same day because Mercury retrograde is going to make a lovely flowing trine to Neptune retrograde. And Neptune rules our dreams and our visions and the ideal. Neptune is the highest octave of unconditional love, and Mercury is flowing its energy to Neptune saying, here's a new vision. Here's something better for you. As long as you can let go of a low vibe situation, relationship, job, etc., Mercury is going to help inspire us for the new one. On November 20th, we will have the Scorpio new moon at 28 degrees. I am not exaggerating when I say this will be super intense. You get the theme of this month. This is a breakdown, breakthrough, breaking free new moon, no question. Why? Because the moon itself, which is the sun and the moon, conjunct, as happens for all new moons, the new moon itself in Scorpio will make an exact opposition to Uranus retrograde in Taurus. But we have to remember that a new moon is the beginning of a new cycle of manifestation. It's a new vision. It's a new fresh start. This one clearly wants to wake us up. It wants to break us free of stagnation. Just keep in mind that the sun and the moon in Scorpio rule investments, debts, inheritances, long-term assets, and opposing Uranus retrograde in Taurus. That is the financial scene, but also extreme weather-related events, flooding, earthquakes, and so on. I will do a separate video for you on this because there is more that I want to share with you, such as the sun conjuncting Mercury retrograde. But big picture, I think we're going to get a lot of clarity and epiphanies and revelations. Different words for the same thing, I know, but I think we're going to, many of us, receive some sort of awakening. If a truth is discovered, it will set us free. It will set us up, not just set us free. I'm hearing this will set us up for the creation of a new foundation that will be more solid and secure. And speaking of foundation, there's harmony going on during this new moon between the new moon and Neptune retrograde, Saturn retrograde, which is a very foundational energy, and Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. This is going to help us emotionally release or cleanse anything that has to be released for us to claim our inspired new beginning. We'll feel the Scorpio new moon most intensely. Those of you who have planets or points close to the 28-degree point of the new moon, planets or points between 24 and 29 degrees of the fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, or Leo, and those of you who have planets or points between 0 and 4 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn, you will also feel this full moon most intensely. But of course, like with all lunations, we will all feel it collectively. And you'll feel it wherever you have 28 degrees of Scorpio in your natal astrology chart, which I'll share with you in the 12-sign readings. And it is after this new moon that the energy really shifts for the better. For the rest of this month, beginning on November 22nd, we get a much more positive span of time. From the 22nd till the end of the month, we have all positive flowing transits except for one. So the 22nd itself is when the sun enters fiery Sagittarius, the sign of new adventures, new scenery. What's over that next vista? I can't wait to explore. I can't wait to find and share the new learning, the new information, the new philosophy or excitement for life. That is Sag energy. I'm calling November 22nd a power day. Why is this? Because we have 3 very powerful, positive transits on this day where I feel a sense of new hope dawning. First of all, Uranus retrograde is going to make a sextile to Neptune retrograde. This could bring a new perception, a freeing way of seeing. And again, sextiles bring opportunities and solutions. Sextiles are something tangible that could bring us a workaround because it is Uranus and Neptune is our dream or our vision. So it's very supportive of making your dream, your ideal real, as long as we take initiative, which we have to do with sextiles. The same day, Mercury retrograde will trine Saturn retrograde, really helpful for building a solid foundation. This is new information. It's Mercury, so communications and conversations and the research that we do helping us to create a foundation or a long-term plan. And then also on the same day, Mercury will make a trine to Jupiter retrograde. So I think there is going to be some sort of conversation or information or news that is positive and hopeful. Something that expands, all the Jupiter things, good fortune, blessings, feel good, Jupiter and Cancer. These are things that make us feel more bonded with others and emotionally connected. I have their back, they have my back, we love each other. That's Jupiter and Cancer. On November 23rd, the sun will make a sextile to Pluto. This, again, very empowering. The sun is our life force. This is a boost of energy for sure. As long as we are willing to step forth and harness our courage, our own personal power, we could get a lot of productivity out of this transit. And November 24th, the next day, Mercury retrograde will make a conjunction to Venus. Who doesn't love a Mercury conjunct Venus? Now, this could bring in a past life love or a past love. There could be a second chance with this, whether it's in love or something that you do love. Maybe it's something to do with money. Maybe it's something to do with beauty, creativity, making art. But this is definitely a good day to tell your loved ones that you love them, a romantic interest, let them know how you feel, or to bring closure to a karmic relationship or something that you know is time to end. More feel-good transits to close out the month. November 26th, Venus will trine Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. This is another highlight of the month. Strong love vibes. I love this transit. Venus trine Jupiter. What is not to love about this? It's super feel good. I mean, again, Venus, the lusciousness of life, expanded by Jupiter. This would actually be a great time to go on vacation. And it's the day before Thanksgiving as it's celebrated in the US. So this is really nice for beautifying your surroundings or, figuring out what you want to bring to the potluck if that's part of what you're doing for Thanksgiving. And Venus will also trine Saturn retrograde, which represents a solid agreement or commitment to something that will bring you comfort, money, beauty, pleasure, a sense of emotional safety. On November 27th, Saturn is going to station direct in Pisces. What is Saturn stationing direct? This is when we are often ready to make a commitment. We are ready to make a plan to start building something. Saturn's been retrograde for a number of months, so we've been in that review, reassessment. We've been doing a lot of inner work in terms of boundaries and growing our resilience, growing our wisdom from the inside out. Now we can put that learning, that growth, what we've learned about what we want to build, now we can put it into action. And Saturn is a more serious planet. It doesn't have to be difficult, serious. It can be, I want to build this house. I want to start this business. I want us to move in together, or I want to put a ring on her finger or his finger. 2 days later, Mercury will take its turn in stationing direct. Keep in mind that when Mercury stations direct, we often feel it more intensely on that day. It could still be glitchy, but once Mercury is direct, then we feel more naturally in flow to take the steps we want to take. Now, I said there was going to be one challenging transit at the end of this month amidst all of these feel-good flowing transits, and that is on November 29th, Venus will oppose Uranus retrograde. So we've had a number of oppositions to Uranus, as you can tell if you've been watching all of this part one, and this is the last one, Venus opposing Uranus. One last discombobulating opposition. And remember, Venus in Scorpio is connected to our emotional attachments and the financial markets. our investments, our long-term assets. This is not financial advice by any means, but you may want to be especially aware of your investments and whether they're where you want them to be, especially around this date, but I would say for this entire month. And I know not all of you have investments, so this can also be any assets that you have, including you as your most valuable asset. We ourselves are our most valuable asset. And ultimately, these oppositions to Uranus, what are they doing? Ultimately, they are wanting to connect us to our most vibrant, authentic expression and make sure we are in the right place. We are in the right place in our work life. We're in the right place in our home life. We're in the right place in our relationships. We are in vibrational alignment with what our heart most desires. And the very last transit is November 30th. Venus will make a beautiful trine to Neptune retrograde. So whatever happened the day or two before with the Venus opposition to Uranus, Venus is making a lovely trine to Neptune retrograde. And remember, Neptune is our dream, our vision, our ideal. Neptune is our connection to the divine. So connect with higher love, connect with your higher source. Venus trine Neptune wants to connect us with the harmonious flow, which is our natural, abundant state of being in money, in love, relationships, our own sense of beauty, and our ability to transform, because Venus in Scorpio, she wants deep intimacy. She wants to go below the surface and pull the treasures up from the depths. So this could be a day of doing deep dive meditations. It could be a day that we can get lost in desire. We can escape into fantasy. We can get hooked by romance, no question, but there's always learning in all of it, right? And this is a fabulous day to bring down the unconditional love of the divine and infuse it through your crown into every cell of your body. Okay, so my tips. This is overall a month of cultivating trust. We are supported to let the process unfold, to not freak out. If we have a discombobulating moment, to feel the fear, process it, but observe ourselves, observe that the craziness of the mind or any fears that we're going through, observe them and move from fear into faith. If we can remember that this month of November is a month of flux, that we don't yet know the whole story, and we can stay open to beginner's mind and to embrace the change, knowing that there's always a workaround with Uranus, we can look for other solutions, solutions. All of this month, we want to stay connected to divine unconditional love. Your own soul's higher love, the protection of the angels and guides. You are not alone, my friend. Get support when you need it, and you might want to use these words of affirmation. I am resilient. I am guided by the stars and divine guidance and wisdom. So whatever happens, I will be okay. I know that I came here to help usher in a new higher vibrational consciousness and era. I am suiting up and I am showing up. I am present and here for it all. Okay, my beautiful friends, let us do the 12 sign readings now. Listen to your rising sign. This is the area of your life corresponding to the area of your natal astrology chart in which you will be feeling the transits of the month. Also, watch your sun and moon signs because these will give you further themes and intuitive messages. All three can be illuminating for you. It is pouring rain here. I'm going to try and edit out the sound, but please bear with me because sometimes it can add a little bit of distortion even with editing. We are getting a cleansing right now, and this is Scorpio season. So we're going to start with Sagittarius because beautiful Sag, this is your birthday season, and happy birthday to all of you Sag babies who were born in November. And I know some of you really love the Sagittarius, Sagittarius. So beautiful Sag. This month, you are going to be balancing your spiritual inner world, those epiphanies and divine downloads that we get when we have the sun transiting our 12th house, and your everyday routines, work, health, and lifestyle, your daily work. The message I got for you is that November is a time to awaken and say yes to a higher vibe you. You are increasing your consciousness, many of you. on a new timeline, as we say, ready to expand. The month begins with Scorpio season in full force. The sun will be in Scorpio in your 12th house until the sun moves into your sign, Sag, on October 22nd. So for the first 3 weeks of the month, the sun, and that's most of this month, right? The first 3 weeks, the sun will be in your 12th house of rest, retreat, your inner mystic, astral travel, your 12th house of your dream state. Often this means more intense dreams or more illuminating dreams. Your subconscious mind, being aware of any limiting beliefs, allowing yourself to reprogram them. This is a good time to do affirmations. This is a good time to be aware of anything that's going on. You know, self-doubt and fear often come up in 12th house transits for us to transform. Because Scorpio energy is your 12th house, Sag, I believe, and we're in Scorpio season, I believe you're going to feel like the veil is quite thin between the worlds, and you could have some really, you know, intense dreams don't have to be bad, right? They can be really, the word illuminating keeps coming to me. I need a different word, but they can be really sparking of transformation. And this is how we transform and change and grow and expand from the inside out. So growing from the inside out. Early on in the month, November 5th, we're going to have the Taurus full moon. And this is, like all full moons, an ending, a completion, a graduation moment, a manifestation, something coming full circle, happening in a very earthly place, the 6th house, across from your 12th house, the house of your daily work, your work environment, your habits, your health, your routines, your lifestyle. So, because it's a full moon though, we've got the moon in Taurus, right? And then we have the sun in Scorpio. You could feel it on this axis of the 6th and 12th house, which means, again, you could be getting and having an intense awakening, something that is coming to you through your own higher self, your soul, the divine, that is waking you up to something you need to know. And also Mars will, in your own sign, Sag, Mars will be opposing Uranus and Gemini during this full moon. So I think a lot of you are going to feel something or experience something that feels unexpected. That, yes, it can be difficult. I have to say, it can be some sort of a breakdown. It can be, just be really careful when you're driving or operating any heavy machinery. Don't take any chances with all this whole month. This whole month, we have a number of Uranus transits, and especially when Mars is in your own sign, Sag, and talking to Uranus and Gemini, be extra careful, be extra cautious. This is not a good time to multitask. I am a multitasker, so I'm saying this from my own experience. Sometimes, you know, I've got something on the stove and I'm going to do something else in a different room, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I put that on the stove. Things like that. Like, you know, not everybody takes the same kinds of chances, but you know, Sag, you and Gemini actually have quite a bit of courage to try different things. We have that in common. And I'm a Gemini sun, if you don't know that, just to make what I just said understandable. But if anything uncomfortable happens for you, Sag, during this Taurus full moon, it is meant to course correct or redirect you in some way to put you in the right place. And this could have to do with, you know, could be a resolution of a health issue. It could be showing you something in a routine, in a habit that isn't working for you. You get the idea. The new moon in Scorpio is going to be in your 12th house, and it's a new spiritual cycle, like all new moons are, but especially because it's your 12th house, you could feel it really deeply. You could feel it in your conditioning and your, you know, we all have that underlying programming, right? That underlying off the past. I mean, I think the past is a good way to say it, especially with 12th house energies. That is karmic relationships. That is past lifetimes. A lot of the time, that is things that we came here to clear. That is where we did come here to reprogram. And also our mystical state. A new moon in the 12th house could have you wanting to become better at channeling, wanting to become more connected to something in your spirituality, like to deepen your connection to a specific guide, a spiritual guide. Maybe some of you do mediumship work, some of you do tarot, some of you could want to learn more about astrology, or you could want to begin your own spiritually based business, or take what is a hobby or a vocation and make it into a business. Or you could just have, a real excitement to do more seeking, to expand more. The focus will shift, Sag, when the sun enters your sign. That's so lovely for you. Sagittarius season. The sun will then move from your 12th house into your first house. You will have done that sort of inner, some of you shadow work, inner reprogramming, something shifting for you, so that now as the sun moves into your first house, you are ready to go. You're ready to come out. It's the I'm coming out. I love to sing that song for you guys for a first house transit, because it's so perfect for you coming out into the world after being, we can feel like things have been a bit dormant in the 12th house. They haven't. They've been very active on the inside. But when the sun enters your first house, it says, put on your favorite outfit and get out there. Like go have a coffee date with someone, or go do something fun. Or often it's when we have the vitality, because the sun is our life force. We have new vitality. We are ready to change an identity, maybe. Identity meaning a role that you play in terms of a title, like a title at work or a title within a relationship. It's often connected to our relationships. I'm already feeling the Mercury retrograde. I'm already feeling it. We are, as I'm doing this video, we are in the shadow of the Mercury retrograde. And often that is when, the words start to not, they're like bottled up in my mouth and they're not coming out correctly. Oh my goodness. Okay, deep breath. So, Sag, don't be surprised if when the sun enters your sign, you begin, especially because we know Mercury's this month is going to be retrograde in your sign. It's going to be retrograde in your 12th house in Scorpio, and then it's going to start actually in your sign and then retrograde back into Scorpio. But also Uranus will retrograde, and it will make its oppositions in your, across from you. So don't be surprised if you feel like you're workshopping something, or you're thinking about a change of a role. You're thinking about, something shifting in a relationship. You could be, already we've got Uranus. It's been transiting your 7th house of partnerships for some time. And it's still, even when it retrogrades back into Taurus, it's still so close to, basically it's on that 7th, 8th house cusp for you. So that brings in 7th and 8th house themes. And 7th house themes have to do with our commitments and our dynamics in relationships. But 8th house themes are where we deepen a relationship sexually, emotionally, or where it brings in our long-term assets and our finances and debts and taxes and all of that stuff. So those themes could come up for you this month. But big picture, Uranus wants to free you in relationships. It wants to allow you to feel, it doesn't mean you have to let go of a relationship. It means that you have to feel like you can be your most authentic self, and that you can factor in your own needs and desires within the dynamics of your relationships. So, Sag, it's a month to remember. We don't yet know the whole story, as I was talking about in part 1 of this video, and especially because November begins your season. If you haven't watched part 1, I highly encourage you to go back and watch it. I go day by day through all the transits and talk about what you can expect. So let us see now what the cards have to say for you, beautiful Sag. And Sag, before you do that, I want to take a moment to say thank you for your presence. Thank you for supporting my channel with your subscribes. Your likes, your comments, they really are what keeps me here on YouTube. And without you and your support, I would not be here. So I really want to thank you. Now let me pull a card for you. Sag. Your card is, the Air Guardian. She is so beautiful. Shift your perception. Yeah. Mercury retrograde, Uranus retrograde. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. These energies are about our perceptions, right? Mercury rules communication, mindset, perception. This is a month to do that. Look at how beautiful she is. Look at the freedom that is in the wind. She's the air guardian. So it is The air energy, Uranus will be in Gemini for the first week of this month. That's when Mars in your sign will oppose Uranus. So there is something about, for you, Sag people, there is something about taking action in the house of you with Mars there that will free and liberate you, very possibly in a relationship or in a way of being in relationship for you. It could be that as well. And look at her energy. It's funny because I feel the Scorpio energy too. The 12th house and her dark hair and her black angel wings. It feels very scorpionic to me. And then all of this sort of coppery gold energy in her headdress and her jewelry. So much abundance, so much green heart energy as well, Sag. Shift your perceptions, shift your life, beautiful Sag. Scorpio. Hello, beautiful Scorpio. Scorpio, this could be a real turning point month for you. With Uranus going back into Taurus, you could feel like this month is a throwback to some of what you've experienced before. But the themes that you have experienced before will likely not be new. Sometimes retrogrades are just us realizing how far we've come and realizing that we have done the work before and we don't have to have so many of those Uranus discombobulating moments. So of course, I hope that is true for you. And I want to say happy birthday to those of you who were born in November. The focus for you this month is going to be balancing your own heart's desires with relationship dynamics and the needs of a partner. And when I say partner, this could be your own inner soul partner. This could be an actual romantic or business partner. This can be close friends, anyone who has your back and you have their back. Or it could be if you don't feel like, well, I don't feel like I'm partnered with anyone in particular. It could be your vision for partnership. You could feel like you really want a partner if you don't have a partner, and you could feel that void. That's possible too. But the message that I have for you with all of the Uranus changes going on this month is take your time. If it's urgent, you'll know it's urgent. And otherwise, don't let that Uranus energy put you into that urgency, emergency, fight or flight. Take your time, but stay awake to any changes that are happening around you. Just stay awake. Know that the universe is wanting to bring certain things to your attention, many of you, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, which is what we can tend to do with strong Uranus transits. Now, the month begins in your season, beautiful Scorpio. We still have 3 more weeks of your season. The sun will be in your sign until November 22nd. In your first house of you, beautiful Scorpio, this is the I'm coming out energy that I love so much. Your identity, your roles, your self-image, your vitality, your appearance, your look. This is a good time to do a glow up. This is a good time to adjust your wardrobe, to take the best care of you, to treat yourself to the things that make you most happy. This is the time to really give yourself that extra energetic boost that you want, because the sun does that naturally. The sun naturally, of course, it's our life force. It's the life force of the universe. Our universe, it tends to really boost your energy, and also though to connect you to what do I do? What are my commitments? What are my agreements? What are my roles? What, when I say role, I mean your title at work, or, the things that you do. It can also translate for some of us to life purpose. It can be like, why am I here? Why am I in this job? Do I feel like I'm being fulfilled? Do I feel that I'm being appreciated? Do I appreciate other people in my environment? Do I want to make any changes? And this will really be up for you because we have a new moon in your sign, your very new moon, but that's after the full moon. The moon cycles are reversed right now, and that means that we get the full moon before we get the new moon. So the full moon will be opposite you in Taurus. And when we have this full moon in Taurus, it is going to be in your 7th house of partnerships. Of course, most of you know that. You've got Taurus energy across from you on the zodiac wheel. It will likely be intense and bring unexpected developments because Mars will be opposing Uranus during that full moon. And then after that, 2 weeks later, we have the new moon in your sign, Scorpio. So the new moon in your sign will give you a chance to start fresh with a new vision for how you want to express yourself in the world most authentically. Some of you, this could bring up something to do with your vitality and your health. Others of you could bring up your physicality in terms of, like I was saying before, your self image and, how you dress. And, a lot of times when we make deep inner changes, then we want to change in an outer way too, right? Sometimes we look at our clothes and we go, these don't fit me anymore. They may physically fit, but they don't match who I am anymore. That can happen too. This new moon in your sign, Scorpio, this is the most intense lunation that we've had in a while because it will be exactly opposite Uranus retrograde in Taurus, and an exact Uranus opposition to a moon, a new or full moon is definitely brings in something unexpected. We can't predict Uranus energy. It is the lightning strike. It is what we call tower moments, but not always. It depends on whether it activates a planet or point in your chart. And this Taurus full moon is going to be at 28 degrees. So it will most affect you if you have planets or points in your sign between 24 and 29 degrees of your sign, Scorpio, or any other of the fixed signs. The beauty of this new moon for you, Scorpio, and I will do a separate video for you on this new moon, but the beauty of it for you is that you will get a fresh start. And if there is any moment that is discombobulating or disconcerting, you will know. It will show you a truth. It will have you shift or change something and hopefully give yourself more if you haven't been giving yourself enough. That's often what a Uranus transit does. It shows us where we have been depriving ourselves, where we've been holding back, where we haven't, gifted ourselves or taken the best care of ourselves that we need to do in order to feel like we are moving forward and doing what we want to do on the earth. So it's a chance to change that, course correct if needed. And a new moon in your sign is always a brand new cycle it's a brand new cycle for everyone, but it's especially a brand new cycle for you when it's in your sign of who am I now? Who do I want to be? What do I want to do, be, or have? Those are good prompts for intention setting for this new moon. Now, Scorpio, the energy will shift when the sun leaves your sign and enters Sagittarius on the 22nd of the month. Then the sun will be in your second house of earned income, your values, self-worth, self-love, deserving, material security, possessions. This is all the things that we gather around us and that we use. Obviously, earned income we use to create the life that we want, right? So the sun moves from the house of you and your own expression into the second house where now you are ready to bring in on a very, material level, bring in what is going to support you. And that is beautiful. That's good news. We all need that. So, however, Mercury is going to retrograde in Sag too. Actually, before it moves its retrogrades into your sign, earlier in the month, it will start its retrograde in Sagittarius, and then it will retrograde back into your energy. But what does this mean? A Mercury retrograde in your second house sometimes means you're rethinking how you earn money. You're thinking about, do I want to change my job? Do I want to start a side gig? Do I want to start a business? Do I want to ask for a raise or a promotion? Do I feel worthy of what I desire? And if not, what are the blocks, if any, that are in the way? Can I look at my limiting beliefs, if there are any around money or deserving, and shift them? Also, keep in mind that when we have those Uranus oppositions, they happen not just in your seventh house of relationships and partnerships, but also in your eighth house. And that's a financial house and a relationship house. So relationships and finances are up for you to shift, change, break open, break free of any limitations in those areas of your life. And they're inherently unpredictable. So it's almost impossible to know what is going to happen as a result. We just have to be open and ready and know that we have our spiritual source. We have our, there are many opportunities to get support from people like myself many people that are available to support you, Scorpio, if you need that support. And intend a breakthrough. I would be intending a positive breakthrough that creates the least possible disruption. Sometimes it is a power outage. Sometimes it is a device going on the blink. So, backing up your devices, things like that is super helpful. But big picture, Scorpio, this is the time to be mindful of any relationships, especially the deeper ones where you are sharing emotional or sexual intimacy with another, or where you are in partnership in business or with clients, to just be very aware of the dynamics there. And if there's anything that where you in the conversation is important, where something needs to be refined or attended to or fixed, this is the time to do it. Also be open to changing your mindset. Most of us are going to get opportunities to shift our mindset, and you might want to make a practical change, or at least look at any long-term assets and see if they are where you want them to be, if you have investments and so forth. So, beautiful Scorpio, I'm going to shuffle the cards for you here and pick a card for you. And I want to take a moment to say thank you so much for your support of the channel. Thank you for liking and commenting. Thank you for subscribing. Especially your subscribes make a world of difference, and they allow me to stay on YouTube. And so thank you so much for being in my court. I really appreciate it. Beautiful Scorpio, let us see what the cards have to say for you. For your month of November, Scorpio, your card is, ooh, this bird reminds me of your magic, Scorpio. It looks like a raven, and it says release. It's getting so dark I can barely see. Release the old and rest, autumn. So here we are. I mean, November really is a month of winter, or at least winter approaching. But yes, in a lot of places in the world, the leaves are falling. And what happens in autumn, we let go, we release, we let what is dying die. We let old aspects of our life that are no longer relevant, we let them leave. We let people, situations, patterns, dynamics, things that are unhealthy for us, we let them go, right? We allow ourselves to rest, release, and rest. So, beautiful Scorpio, if anything I said resonates and you want to share in a comment, I would love to hear. Libra. Hello, beautiful Libra. Libra, it is pouring rain here. I try to edit out the background. I love the sound of the rain, but it sometimes distorts my voice a little bit. So hopefully that won't happen, but thank you for bearing with me. Libra, your November horoscope, the focus that I see for you will be on your finances, especially long-term assets, but also earned income for some of you, self-love and deserving, your emotional attachments, your mindset, and those are the things that we really depend on, right? Get into those in a moment, but your mindset, and also I believe that this month that communication and how you perceive things, and how uplifting your thoughts are, I think these will be strong themes for you this month. This is a month of change, as I speak about in part one of this video. It's a roller coaster ride for a lot of us. Watch part one if you haven't already. But my message for you overall is change your thinking, change your life. The month begins with the sun in Scorpio in your second house. The sun will be in Scorpio for the first 3 weeks of the month until the 22nd. And this usually, when we've got the sun transiting our second house, it's usually lovely for money flowing in, as long as on the inside our thoughts are high, we are connected to our values, and the things that we're doing, the action that we're taking, how we're living our life is in alignment with our values. As long as we are living true to ourselves and we feel worthy of what we desire, usually we experience that. Self-love, possessions, material security, these are strong themes for you. That's where the sun is. However, remember that Uranus is transiting back, as I talk about in part one, into Taurus, and that kind of throws wild card energy into the mix, because Uranus will make a number of the personal planets will make a number of oppositions to Uranus. So what does this mean? It means that we've got the sun, Mercury retrograde, and Venus all going back and forth with Uranus in Taurus this month, and this brings up for you the 8th house as well. This is where the full moon in Taurus will be, and the 8th house rules our emotional attachments, things that really trigger us if they don't happen the way we want them to happen. What do I mean? Emotional intimacy, the deep, deep relationships in which we share time, money, and resources. Physical, sexual intimacy. It's the 8th house is connected to death, rebirth, transformation. It's an intense place where we are meant to take back our power. Power and control often comes up with 8th house transit. So when you have a full moon in the 8th house, and at the same time we're getting an opposition from Mars to Uranus during this full moon, there is often an expect the unexpected vibe, and things can happen that we weren't planning on. So if I were you, I would be especially, and I think actually this is good advice for everyone, but especially when your full moon is going to be in your 8th house of long-term assets, investments, real estate. I know not everyone has investments, but it can be agreements that you have with other people. It could have to do with splitting up assets if that's what's going on in your life. It's basically where we're kind of checking to see, are the things that we have in place to make us feel more secure, are they, do we feel good about them? And I know everyone's in different places. For example, when I was in college, I think I owned my Volkswagen, I owned a stereo. I mean, I really didn't have much that could get taken away or sacrificed or any of that. I know those aren't the best words, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I really didn't have much financially to lose back then. So we're all in different places, but I just mentioned this in case, it's relevant for you. And if those things aren't relevant, then you could be having a power struggle or deepening a close bond with somebody with whom you do share time, money, and energy, and with whom you are doing some sort of negotiations back and forth, or just the give and take of relationships. Some of you could be selling a house around this time. You could be buying a home. You could be considering that. You could be, if you do have an investment plan or portfolio, you could be looking at that or moving things around. You get the idea. After the Taurus full moon, we have a new moon in Scorpio, and that's your 2nd house where the sun is as well. Of course, new moons, their sun and the moon are both in the same sign. The sun and the moon will be in Scorpio, and this is a time to set intentions for beginning this new cycle of manifestation. What do you want to co-create in this realm of your life? Beautiful Libra. What do you want to co-create? Another theme that will come up with this new moon for you is, do I feel that I deserve what I want? Sometimes we feel consciously that we do, but on a subconscious level, there's something in the way, right? So this is a good new moon to become aware of and move any blocks out of the way that have to do with money, finances, self-love, beauty, possessions, material security. The focus will shift for you on the 22nd of the month when the sun enters Sag, or I should say the energy will shift. The energy will shift. Why? Because the sun will leave your 2nd house and it will go into your 3rd house of moving and shaking your local environment. Usually a 3rd house transit of the sun is lively. There's a lot going on. We're often, getting around more. We're getting out and about more. Or you are working on a project that involves writing, learning, studying. It could involve working on a website. It could be you getting a business up and going. This is the house of freelance work. This is where we have our facilitated transactions. It's freelance, if I didn't say the word freelance. Also, your devices and your car or cars, motorcycle, anything you use to get around, your moped, and short trips that you take, like day trips, long weekends, communication and mindset. There's so much that falls in this house: siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, basically the people that are around us, our neighbors, the people that we have coffee dates with, the people that we show up with when we go to a networking meeting, or some of you do some of the stuff, some of you don't. It could be as simple but profound as a conversation you have when you're waiting in line to get a coffee or to buy your groceries, and something gets sparked for you. And that's going to be even more pronounced this Sagittarius season, because Libra, and you are someone who tends to be social and tends to talk to people when you're out and about. Leave me a comment, let me know if that's true. A lot of Libras do that, which I love. And so this could be even more pronounced though this season, because Mercury will be retrograde in Sagittarius. It will be retrograde in Sagittarius and in Scorpio, meaning that we can get more sparked and we can have more insights. During a Mercury retrograde, we often get more intuitive downloads when Mercury is retrograde. Also, Mars will be in Sag and making an opposition to Uranus and Gemini during this month. And when it does so, Uranus in Gemini for you is transiting your 9th house of expansion, long distance travel, higher learning, seeking, the quest, the hero's journey, a sense of what's calling to you. So that opposition could mean that you suddenly take a trip to another country, or you've been in another country and you suddenly come back, or something happens that's very wild card, or you get an awakening. I mean, that's what I love about Uranus in the 9th house. We are more prone to spiritual awakenings when we have a Uranus transit in the 9th house, because the ninth house is a house of transcendence, and especially when we are in that house of adventuring and seeking, we're more likely, you could have an awakening just from reading a book or watching a YouTube video. It's really cool. So it's unexpected wild card energy, but again, Mercury will retrograde both in your 2nd and your 3rd houses. So a positive mindset around money and around just being awake to the signs and synchronicities and the things that the universe wants to share with you will really help you this month. And I want to say before I pull a card, thank you so much for your presence. Thank you for being here, for your likes, your comments, for subscribing to the channel. It means the world to me to have your support. Okay, let's pull a card. Your card is the Shaolin Master. I need to put my glasses on now. It's so dark. Okay. Be graceful in movement and action. Okay, so what I love about this card is that it's saying you can see how I think it's a grasshopper that he's holding in one hand, and then he's levitating the ball, right, in the other hand. And what I love about this card, because notice how the ball is floating over his knuckles. It's not even as though necessarily he threw it up, although he could have bumped it up with his knuckles, but it's a golden ball. It represents abundance to me. And then the grasshopper represents wisdom. And he's using his grace. He's flowing with the universal energies. He's flowing with the rhythm of literally the energy that's happening. And so when you do that, when you get still enough, when you get quiet enough to sense what you are meant to do in taking action, you will receive the grace of the universe. So it does say take action. It does say be in movement, but do it in alignment with the divine. Beautiful Libra. Virgo. Hello, beautiful Virgo. Virgo. You are going to feel this month more intensely, I believe, because Mercury will turn retrograde, and Mercury retrogrades affect you more because you're Mercury ruled, and we have a number of Uranus transits, and Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So you may feel a little bit more of that roller coaster, wrong hand, the roller coaster that I talk about, I'm left-handed, that I talk about in this video. In part 1 of this video, you may feel that more intensely. But this is a month of expansion for you, learning and growth. I believe that a lot of you are shedding a limiting belief, and that happens when we consciously decide that we want to make a shift in our perception, right? Which is very Mercury, Uranus kind of energy. you may be stepping into a new adventure. You may be shifting something within your home or family environment, healing a relationship with a family member, or healing from your own childhood conditioning. The message that I have for you from the divine, from my own channeling, is be open to beginner's mind, to seeing your life and yourself with fresh eyes. You may even experience a moment of transcendence this month, true awakening, which would be such a gift. The month begins with the sun in Scorpio in your third house. The third house is the house of, it's a very busy house. Whenever we have the sun or our moon here, or any transit, a Mercury transit here, there's a lot of busyness. There's a lot of movement, and Mercury will be retrograde in Scorpio as well as in Sag this month. So, you know, just on a very basic level, many of you already know this, but when you've got a Mercury retrograde in your third house that rules devices and vehicles and short trips and transportation and travel and all of that and communication, this is a time to be especially mindful of delays, especially mindful of, servicing anything electrical that needs servicing, and especially backing up those devices. You could have during this season, the first 3 weeks of the month, you could be really busy with things like freelance work, working on a website, healing a relationship, or working with, spending more time with a sibling, aunt, uncle, cousin, a neighbor, more communication with landlords, mortgage brokers, people that you meet when you're out and about, going to networking meetings, more coffee dates, things like that. This transit really wants you to, if needed, shift your mindset, open up to new perceptions. Think about what your needs are in your local environment. Do you need to change things up? Do you need more stimulation? It is a transit that really wants to help stimulate you in positive ways and change your thinking if that's needed, a new narrative for some of you, a new story about yourself or your life. But I am getting the feeling that a lot of you are starting something business-wise, or something that where you are doing a lot of transactions. Maybe you're buying materials for a product that you're building, maybe creating. Maybe you are doing more social media to put out the word about something that you're creating. Or maybe you're teaching something, learning something, writing a blog, beginning to write a book, any of those things. Because we're going to have a new moon here as well in the same house, your third house for you. But before that, we have the Taurus full moon, and the Taurus full moon, which is an ending, completion, graduation moment, something coming to fruition or manifesting. When that Taurus full moon, which happens first before the moon cycles are switched right now. The full moon in Taurus happens in your ninth house. So the ninth house is expanding, it's transcending. That's why I said you might have a moment of transcendence. I'm already feeling Mercury retrograde. Long distance travel. You could either be finishing out a travel stint or vacation or some sort of, learning and growth. And maybe you've been an armchair traveler. Maybe you've been studying a different language or culture. That could be completing, or you could be completing a course. You could be completing a degree, something like that. You could find yourself very much in seeking mode. You could find yourself answering a call of your soul. You could be manifesting moving to another country or visiting another country, traveling, going to a retreat, for example, planning something that is going to, maybe you're just planning a trip to go to a yoga retreat or some sort of something that is going to really expand you, which travel tends to do for us, right? So that's the Taurus full moon. And of course, Taurus is always related to finances and the physical body and beauty and all the beautiful things in life. And I speak much more at length about that in part 1 of this video. Then we'll have the new moon in Scorpio. That is your new cycle. That's your new dream. And that brings up all the themes that I talked about a few minutes ago when I talked about the sun in Scorpio. Some of you may be starting a new business, or, like I said before, a writing project or something along those lines. And just keep in mind that because there is an opposition during that Scorpio new moon, it will be quite an intense new moon with an opposition to Uranus. That Sun and Moon themselves are opposite Uranus. That is intense. That is. If you have planets or points around that later degree point, it's happening at 28 degrees. If you have any planets or points around that in the fixed signs, then you'll feel it more intensely. Or the early degrees of the cardinal signs. The focus will shift, beautiful Virgo, when the Sun moves into Sagittarius on the 22nd. We'll move out of water, it will move into fire. Your energy actually is more flowing and harmonious with Scorpio energy. When it moves into Sagittarius, it will make a square to your energy, but it's an angle of your chart, and all the angles naturally square us, and that means we get into action. That means we feel a need to we get activated, a need to take a step. So where is that happening for you? Your fourth house of home, family, childhood conditioning, roots, belonging. And with a square, with the Sun transiting your fourth house, and Mercury will also be retrograde in Sagittarius for part of the month in your fourth house as well. So what does this mean for you? It means with the Sun making a square to your fourth house energy, it just means that you may want to change something up in your home. You may want to heal something to do with your mother line or your ancestral line. You may want to get support, such as therapy or astrology reading or coaching. I do both of those things. You may want to change your home in some way. You may want to do some remodeling, or you're thinking about moving, or maybe you are moving. You could be moving as well. And this is a time to be really mindful, especially at the beginning of the month, but all month really, to really be mindful of relationships with neighbors and family members, because we can be a little bit more prone to conflict when Mars is transiting our fourth house. And because Mercury is transiting your house of movement and transportation, I would be especially careful, only because of the Uranus transits as well. I'd be especially careful of driving and operating any heavy machinery. So let us see what the cards have to say for you, beautiful Virgo. And I want to take a moment to pause and say thank you for your support of the channel. Thank you for liking, for commenting, for subscribing to the channel. It really does help me. It helps support the growth of this work and allows me to keep doing this. So I am so genuinely grateful, and I want to express that. Okay, beautiful Virgo. Your card. Is, the shapeshifter. Transform. I need to put my glasses on. Transform and unveil your gifts. Transform and unveil your gifts. So check out this card. I love it so much. I love the support from the eagle, which gives us transcendence. We've got the full moon in the background. That would be the Taurus full moon in this case. We've got the wolf, which represents the teacher. And this card is saying shape shift, fly above your life, become the eagle, become the wolf, become the moon, even become another energy so that you can transform and see yourself in your life from a bigger picture. And that will allow you to unveil your gifts that much more, beautiful Virgo. Leo. Hello, beautiful Leo. This month, your focus is going to be on balancing your needs, your goals, your heart's desires in your fourth house of home, family, roots, belonging, your own sense of self. That's the fourth house. Balancing those needs, which can be very personal, very much about, going home, putting your feet up, letting your hair down, as we say. You're balancing that and your public self, your public life, which includes career, legacy, life purpose expressed, your passions, how you contribute, how you express yourself in the world, so to speak. And not only this, but this is a time when we get to Sagittarius season that you are ready for more fun, I believe. Love, romance, fun, creativity. So Your message is, for the first 3 weeks, especially of this month, this will probably be a turning point time for you. And you could be making an important decision. So let's break this down. Scorpio season for you. As we begin the month, the sun is in Scorpio in your 4th house. That's home, family, childhood conditioning, what I just mentioned, roots, belonging. This very personal place in your chart. And that's where we're going to have a new moon in this energy in this house. I'll speak about that in a moment. First, I want to say that we're going to have a full moon. The Taurus full moon will be first. That's in your 10th house of career, legacy, life purpose, express, retirement. The house of fulfillment. How do you want to spend your time, your life? This is vocation. This is passion. This is asking you, are you happy in your career life? This is saying, some of you, Leo, some of you are changing careers. You're really reassessing your career. Because we have so much Uranus activity, Uranus is going back into Taurus, and then we have a bunch of planets transiting in Scorpio opposing Uranus and Taurus because of this. You could feel like there are oppositions of energies to your career or to how you spend your time, vocation, or passion. Uranus transited your 10th house for a long time. Most of you probably made a career change if you have a career. Most of you very likely changed jobs, or you changed your presence, public presence in some way. But now Uranus comes back and is revisiting the very end degrees. So if you have planets or points, Leo, in your sign or the other fixed signs at these end degrees, let's say 25 to 29 degrees, then these themes could come up for you again. And maybe you changed your career, your job, and now you want to make another change. Or maybe some of you want to be financially independent. Maybe some of you want to have the freedom to retire if you can create that for yourself. After the Taurus full moon, and I think I said, but I'll say it in case I didn't, full moons are always endings, completions, full circle moments, or manifestations. After that, and we can feel them in our 10th or our 4th house, I have to say that. After that, we'll have the new moon in Scorpio. That is going to be in your 4th house. A new moon in the 4th house, we're setting intentions for what we want to create, a fresh start. So for you, it's a fresh start in family, relationships with family members, your home environment, remodeling, moving, changing your home environment in some way. Somebody moves in, somebody moves out, getting a roommate or moving in with with a significant other, those kinds of things. And then also this can bring up, do I feel rooted here? Do I feel like I belong in this neighborhood, in this town, in this country? Do I feel like I belong here? And if not, really considering moving, or maybe you are already moving. Usually a new moon is when we set the intentions, and within 6 months we make that change, we make that move. Some of you could want to build something someplace else or buy land and begin to imagine the possibility of building on that land at some point in the future. Keep in mind that new moon in Scorpio will be a wild card new moon, because the sun and the moon will oppose Uranus. And that really brings in the unexpected kind of discombobulating often moments. So we have to keep that in mind. But again, Uranus always wants to free and liberate us. So if that happens, it's because we're meant to be redirected or course corrected in our path. And on the 22nd, the energy will shift when the sun enters Sagittarius. And this is when the sun moves into the 5th house of love, romance, creativity, and children. And this is why I said at the beginning of your reading that it's a time to have more fun. The 5th house, the sun in the 5th house says, get out, have fun, be more creative, get out your paints, get out your crayons, get out your pastels, start dancing to music, sing in the car if you don't already. Do more of that. Do more connecting with your inner child. Be more frivolous, and I don't mean frivolous in the negative connotation. I mean, frivolity, like more things that you do just for fun, more things that light you up. More love making, some of you. Mercury is also going to retrograde in your fifth house. So keep in mind that anything you start, especially starting a new love or romance or a new project or, maybe a new parenting uh, practice, any of those things are up, they're in flux, they're up for change because what we started in a Mercury retrograde, we don't always continue. So just something to keep in mind. Doesn't mean you can't meet someone during a Mercury retrograde and have that be a lasting relationship. Often when it is a lasting relationship, it's because we're willing to do the work and make changes of things that we didn't see when we first met them, or it's because they are a past life person and we are meant to be with them. So we are. So, beautiful Leo, let us see what the cards have to say for you. I've been shuffling, and before I pick a card, I want to say thank you so much for your presence. Thank you so much for being here, for watching this video, and for supporting the channel with your likes and your comments and subscribing to the channel so you can be a partner with me in helping me succeed and grow. Both of my parents were Leos. I have a strong fondness for Leo energy. Not that I don't love the other signs as well, but Leo, I love that you are ruled by the sun and that you are connected to the heart. Let us see what the cards have to say for you. Leo. This card is about abundance. This card is about getting your work out into the world, and you do have this 10th house transit. So it's saying that, and I think this is especially relevant for those of you who may want to do something different for career or vocation or passion, but maybe you aren't getting a regular paycheck from it yet, because this is about exchanging energy with another and offering your gifts to the world. It's called the trader, and this person is they have some sort of it looks like a setup in a craft fair. They are out and about trading, so to speak, their wares, their handmade gifts, this beautiful pillow. And for some of you, this may bring up the idea of traveling to another country, like an import export business, something like that. I know with all the tariffs and all of that, it's a very crazy world. We still don't know what's happening with that, but very much in flux. But this is a card of abundance. As you exchange energy with other people, even if it's not physically making things, maybe it's, you're exchanging in different ways. Like I used to exchange coaching with a wonderful man who did my hair. So he would do my hair and I would give him a coaching session in return. And it was a fabulous exchange. I loved it so much. So you get the idea. So many different things we can exchange energy for as a win-win for everyone. Right, beautiful Leo? So if this card or anything that I shared resonates for you and you want to share in the comments below, I would love to hear. Or claim your abundance. This is a card of abundance. Absolutely. Your creativity, your abundance. And that's very fifth house. That's very sun in the fifth house in Sagittarius. Something for you to look forward to, beautiful Leo. Cancer. Hello, beautiful Cancer. Cancer, I have my moon and rising in Cancer, and I love the month of November for us. Why? Because the focus is on the interactions that we have with community, with friends, social media platforms, also online dating, if you do online dating or you're interested in that. Balancing this with love and romance, creativity, or time spent with children. So I love I love Scorpio season for Cancer energy because it trines our energy. It's, Scorpio water to our water. And then the sun will move into the sixth house in Sagittarius, and we'll get to that. But I want to tell you that the overall message that I have for you for this month is that this is the month to find moments of deep joy and passion, even amidst the uncertainty and chaos that this month is going to bring with all of the Uranus oppositions. And I talk about that in the first part of this video. I go day by day, so you might want to go back and watch that if you haven't already. But the month will begin with the sun in Scorpio. The sun will be in Scorpio for 3 weeks of the month until the 22nd. And this is where the sun is transiting your fifth house of love, romance, creative expression, children. This is a time to be free, beautiful Cancer. Be free. Get out and enjoy yourself. And I know that I'm saying that even though I don't get out enough, so I want to be honest about that. but it is always my intention to give myself more freedom, and this is what we need. Or, it's dancing in your living room. Or, I like to dance when I cook sometimes. When I'm getting ready to do these videos, I'm usually dancing. I mean, anything that moves energy and that puts you in that higher vibration, that higher octave of love, which music does, and a lot of, using art supplies does, right? Playing with children, um all those, and in cancer, and cancer people have a natural affinity, most of us, with children too, so that's another really good way to infuse your own inner child, whether it's pets or children. Infuse your own inner child with that spark of delight. Inner child delight is what I call the fifth house as well. Now, Mercury will also retrograde in your fifth house. So keep in mind that anything new started, especially since this is the house of love, romance, creativity, and all of that, it could change. Whatever you start here could change, and that's okay. That's a Mercury retrograde. But a lot of times people say, well, if I start a romance in Mercury retrograde, does that mean it's necessarily going to end? And it's not necessarily the case, because sometimes we meet somebody from another lifetime, or we get a second chance with someone. We start up a romance with somebody that we were in, romantically involved or interested in before, and it comes back around. Obviously those relationships don't always last. Sometimes it's meant to come there. We're meant to come back together so that we can have closure if we didn't have closure before. But just know that we are in a time of flow, flux, and change. And, it's all often very karmic, fated, destined. We really don't have control over what happens anyway. We have free will. We can say yes or no, but I believe, Cancer, that this energy wants us to embrace joy and have good boundaries at the same time. Now, the Taurus full moon is happening. It's the first lunation. The full moon in Taurus will happen in your 11th house of friendships, supporters, allies, branding and promotion of any business, product, or service that you want to offer, long-term financial gains. This is an important full moon because Mars will oppose Uranus during this full moon. It will be potentially tumultuous because of this Uranus opposition. And actually, even after this full moon, much of the month, the Sun, Mercury retrograde, and Venus will all make oppositions to Uranus retrograde in Taurus as well. So, we've got a lot of Uranus oppositions. I go through all the day-by-day transits in part 1 of this video. What does this mean? Expect the unexpected, expect discombobulating moments. They are all ultimately for our freedom, liberation, to break us free of stagnation, to give us a breakthrough if we need a breakthrough. Breakthroughs are wonderful, breakdowns are not. I know that, but we'll just go with the flow of what happens and we will be fine. And I offer tips in part 1 of this video for you as well to support you. But I want to say that this full moon is an ending, completion, manifestation, or something coming to fruition for you. So, whatever, and it is Taurus energy, which does want to upgrade us. It wants to upgrade us. Taurus energy always wants us to have a better life, materially speaking, and to enjoy the lusciousness of life, as I call it, to enjoy the beautiful things that I always like to joke that are the reasons we came here and decided to come into bodies in the first place. Obviously, that's a joke. Bigger picture, we came here to evolve as souls, I believe. But, somebody probably told me before I landed here, you can take the leap because down there they have really amazing almond croissants. Anyway, I know you'll get that, Cancer. Cancers love their comfort food, right? What's your favorite comfort food, Cancer? Leave me a comment, let me know. After the Taurus full moon, we're going to have a new moon in Scorpio, and that will be in your 5th house romance, 5th house of love and romance, creativity, unbridled free expression, inner child delight, children, if you have children or other people's children, or if you want to get pregnant, this is an interesting new moon for that. I was going to say this is a lovely new moon for that. I don't know, because Uranus makes an opposition to this new moon. So that means that during the new moon, at least, expect the unexpected. So do I love that for getting pregnant? I have to be honest. Like, what will happen, but I don't love a Uranus opposition to a new moon for getting pregnant. I really don't. And please don't ask me in the comments all the things that could play out with that. I don't want to get into that, but I will say that Uranus has the higher view of our destiny and our purpose in mind, but it throws a wrench in things. It tends to, or you could unexpectedly, that's another thing. Okay, now I'm getting some clarity. Those of you who don't want to get pregnant, especially use precaution, because that would be a classic moon with Uranus opposing it would be, I unexpectedly got pregnant and I didn't want to. So if you want a breakthrough in any of these areas of like love and romance, creativity, if you want a breakthrough, if you want to create a breakthrough, this would be a good new moon for that. Set your intentions for what you do want to experience and know that it's possible if you have planets or points around the degrees of this new moon and the later degrees of Scorpio or the early degrees of the cardinal signs, you will be more likely to feel this Uranus opposition. On the 22nd, that's when the energy will shift because the sun will leave Scorpio and enter Sagittarius. Sagittarius is fire. Sagittarius is the warmth, the desire to seek and go on a quest and, be elevated and uplifted and feel full of faith and optimism. That's Sag energy. That's your 6th house. So what will be up for you when the sun moves into the 6th house? Anything to do with your health, your daily work, your optimal well-being, mind, body, spirit, your routines, your habits, your lifestyle. But again, because Mars earlier in the month makes an opposition to Uranus and Gemini in your 12th house, when Uranus is in our 12th house, which it has been for some time now, well, since July, not that long, but since July, it's a wild card time. We tend to get really significant breakthroughs, often in our dreams or meditations. We see things in a new light, and that's a gift of Uranus. But because Uranus has been transiting your 12th house, opposing your 6th house, you could have already had something come up in health. You could have already been trying to heal something. Or your work. Your work could have really been tumultuous or something, some sort of change. Uranus in the 12th house wants to show us from the inside what we need to shift on the outside in our 6th house often. What we need to shift in terms of how we work. If that's not healthy, how we do our life, what we eat. Some of you could have changed your diet. I know I have been trying to cut down on the pastries and the carbs. I've started working out at a gym, which wasn't my usual thing. I usually just like to be outside walking and so forth, but I've started to do a little bit of weightlifting and I've started to do some of the machines and stuff at the gym, which are not me. I'd rather do yoga. I'd rather but just things that are going on with my body. Those are the older we get, the more we need to do strength training, for example. So I'm embracing that. And I wanted to say to Cancer that keep in mind that Mercury is going to be retrograde in your 6th house as well as your 5th house. So these topics of the 5th and 6th house, which I've already gone through, are up for review. They're up for change. Changing your mindset, especially around your health, your habits, your daily work, having gratitude for the things that are working in your life, having gratitude for your body, having gratitude for work that pays you, having gratitude for what is enhancing your daily life. That's really, really helpful this time of the year for you. And before I pull a card for you, I want to say thank you so much for your support of my channel. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for subscribing. These things all really help the channel to grow, and I have gratitude for you, Cancer. So let me pull a card for you now. Cancer. The Peacekeeper. Let go of the need to be right. This is such an interesting card because I'll be honest, I don't always feel that this message, let go of the need to be right, is always appropriate. You will know if it's appropriate for you. You will know if there is something, I'm getting the words right now, high horse. Some of you could feel like you are on a high horse about something. You could feel like you're on a, wonderful and contributing to the planet to feel strongly about the things that you want to help change in the world, right? Or change in your life. But what's coming to me is that there are so many things in life that feel unjust. There are so many things that feel wrong, right? Cancer. As a fellow Cancer person, I think, we might be able to relate to this. Both of us, I can certainly relate to it. But getting upset, getting mad, getting frustrated on a regular basis about things that we can't change, that is when it's not good for our health. And you do have the sun moving through and Mercury moving through your sixth house and Mars also. And Mars is our physical body. So there could be part of that. And, this card has many messages. I think it's saying you are a peacekeeper if you want to be a peacekeeper, if you want to have that role, if you resonate with being the peacekeeper. Maybe some of you resonate with Native American spirituality. Maybe some of you resonate with being an activist. We can be an activist for things that are important to us without being so stuck in our ego that we let it inflame our physical body, or that we let it inflame our emotions to the point that it's unhealthy for us. Those are the messages that are coming through. But I also think there's a strong message of elevating you as a peacekeeper. Beautiful Cancer. A lot of Cancers are. We are the nurturers of the zodiac. We do nurture people. We do comfort. We are empathetic and present for other people's pain. And we do help harmonize the energies on the planet. And that's the peacekeeping way. So if you want to claim that you're a peacekeeper within your own family, within your own self, within your own life, or on the planet, or anything else you want to comment on in the comments below, beautiful Cancer, I would love to hear. Gemini. Hello, beautiful Gemini. Gems. Your focus this month is going to be balancing divine guidance, the messages and the connections you get from your inner self, your soul, the spiritual realms, balancing that with your daily work, your life, your kind of daily ins and outs of life, routines, your health, and your habits, your lifestyle. This is the balance that you're going to be striking this month, and you could be having more intense dreams this month. So know that that could be happening. But your message is that your intuition is going to be lit up this month. Pay attention to your dreams, the signs and synchronicities, and know that the messages that you get will likely bring you clarity. Mercury will be retrograde this month, and that affects you more, Gemini. And I have my natal sun in Gemini, by the way. Mercury retrograde affects us more because we are ruled by Mercury, and it is going to be transiting the houses that I'm about to share with you, a couple of the houses, Scorpio and Sagittarius. So the month begins with the sun in Scorpio, transiting your sixth house of daily work, health, routines, habits, and lifestyle. Now, the sun transiting a house often is where we get an energetic boost. You could find that, and of course, the sun has already been here. The sun moved into Scorpio in October. You could already be feeling a boost in your energy. You could already be feeling like you have more oomph to do things like move your body more, or the things that you do, maybe your work, maybe you get an infusion of motivation or spark of aliveness in your work, or you get an idea for a different changing your lifestyle in some way, or you shift a habit. All these things, good things could happen. And this is where we'll have a new moon, which is new, fresh, new beginnings. But before I talk about the new moon, I want to talk about the Taurus full moon, because that's happening first. The Taurus full moon for you is happening in your 12th house. And a full moon in the 12th house is illuminating. It's illuminating. It's revealing a truth or something you didn't see before. It deeply affects our psyche. So this is where we do tend to have a dream or some sort of message from the divine, some sort of higher guidance. It's amplified for us. This is a good time to start a dream journal if you don't already have one. To do something, Gemini, that really wakes you up to a higher awareness of what's going on inside of you. Also to reprogram any subconscious belief, any conditioning, anything that comes to your attention that has been holding you back, or that's, it doesn't have to be a big holding you back. It could just be something subtle that you want to shift because maybe there's something new that you want to embrace in your life and you realize, I don't necessarily feel that I deserve this. I've been settling for crumbs when I want the whole cookie. I've been accepting someone else's behavior maybe, or I've been accepting some, self-talk. I've been accepting that as a truth when it's not really true, and I want to shift that. You could also be really paying attention and discovering more of your own inner mystic. You could have out-of-body experiences. You could be shifting from self-doubt to self-confidence. Keep in mind that the Sun, Mercury retrograde, and Venus in Scorpio will all oppose Uranus retrograde in Taurus, which is also happening in your 12th house. So, Uranus retrograde, Uranus was in Taurus for many, many years, as I'm sure you're aware. And now it's coming back. And when Uranus transits our 12th house, we get those really transformative breakthroughs. So that could happen again for you. And then we'll have that new moon in Scorpio, which is the fresh start, new beginning, time to set intentions for a new cycle in in contrast to the 12th house, it's your very physical, tangible, earthly daily life. What schedule am I going to set for my work if I have control over my schedule? When am I going to work out? When am I going to get out in nature and walk? When am I going to play with my pets? When the pets fit in the 6th house as well. How am I going to change the way I cook, the way I eat, or start a new habit? You get the idea. However, this is important to keep in mind with that new moon, and I will do a separate video for you on it, is that Uranus will make an opposition to the new moon in Scorpio. The sun and the moon will oppose Uranus, and Uranus again in your 12th house is those eye-opening epiphanies that could show up in something that happens in your daily life in some way. It can manifest, play out that way. On the 22nd of the month, that's when the energy shifts as the sun leaves Scorpio and enters Sagittarius, and that's when the sun moves into your 7th house of partnerships, all committed relationships, whether they're romantic or not. They could be business relationships, they can be best friends, they can be adult children. But keep in mind that Mercury will retrograde in Scorpio, and it will retrograde in your 7th house of relationships as well. So a lot of what's going on this month is subject to change in the future, subject to change. And we're reviewing, we're reassessing, we are rethinking, we are fixing, we're refining. So any commitments that you make with people when Mercury is retrograde in your 7th house, they could definitely be renegotiated in the future. So keep that in mind. Or you could be renegotiating agreements, boundaries with people during this Mercury retrograde transit. It's a good time to do that, actually. So, beautiful Gemini, before I pick a card for you, I want to thank you for your time, energy, and presence. I want to thank you for your support of the channel through your comments, through your likes, through subscribing to the channel. If you haven't yet subscribed, please take a moment to do that. It really helps to support for all YouTubers. It helps all of us. And thank you for taking a moment to do that. Let me now see what the cards have to say for you, beautiful Gemini family. Your card is, one of my favorite cards in this deck, the She-Wolf. Yes, we've got that Taurus full moon. It will be intense. Mars will oppose that full moon, and Mars will be in Sagittarius across from Gemini's. Okay, Mars will oppose Uranus in Gemini. So you've got Uranus in your sign, and Mars is going to oppose that during the Taurus full moon, and it may make you howl with the moon, the She-Wolf. Clearly, this is going to be a very energetic full moon, and it says, unleash the wild within. I love this so much. Is there something within you that you have not given voice to, Gemini? Is there something in your own wild nature? Do you feel wild enough? Have you let loose enough? Have you danced naked in the woods? I know it's a very cold time of year to dance naked in the woods. Have you ever just like laid down in the snow in your bathing suit or naked or whatever? I mean, I wouldn't personally do that naked because I would want to, protect. But you get the idea of this card. It's saying give your wild self full and free expression because there is something to be gained from that. And as I'm saying that, I'm keeping in mind that Uranus in your sign wants to free and liberate you. So how perfect is this? It is time to break free from any stagnation, from any inner niceties or rules that would keep us too buttoned up to I'm just feeling it right now, to just open up and release. And for some of you, it could be releasing anger. For some of you, it could be releasing any energy that's just been heavy that you've been holding on to. What lies dormant within you that is ready to come out and be fully expressed and free you emotionally, physically, spiritually? Beautiful Gemini, if you want to claim your she-wolf in the comments below or anything else you want to share, I would love to hear. Taurus. Hello, beautiful Taurus. Taurus. Your month of November could be a throwback to the last year or two that we had before Uranus moved into Gemini in July of this year of 2025, especially the second half of 2024 and the first part of 2025. It could be a throwback to that time. Now, remember, it's a retrograde. So what does this mean? It means that anything that came up for you, especially if you have planets or points in the very late degrees of your sign, whatever came up for you could be revisited, but maybe it's to integrate the lessons that you've already learned or the growth that you've already had. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a new, shocking, discombobulating moment. It could just be a matter of realizing how far you've come. So keep that in mind. But it is likely going to be for many of you what we call a wild card energy. Expect the unexpected. I know those words are so overused in the astrology community, but you know the words that go with Uranus. I mean, it can be wonderful epiphanies and breakthroughs and things that move you forward, insights. May it be those things because those are incredible moments of freedom. Uranus does free us. It does. In fact, Taurus, if you want to leave me a comment about any freeing insights or breakthroughs or experiences that ultimately set you free while Uranus was in your sign, I would love to hear. You will likely feel those, Taurus, in relationships, especially where there's a commitment on either a personal, business, or romantic level, because, of course, you know this, the Scorpio energy is in your 7th house, and we are in Scorpio season as the month begins. But before I get to that, the message that you are receiving from the divine, from my own channeling, is onward and upward, Taurus. Onward and upward. This is the very last 5.5 months of Uranus in your sign forever for the next 84 years, unless you plan to live beyond that. And if you're very, very, very young, you're probably not watching this if you're 10. But if you are, planning to live to 105, 110 or so, then maybe if you're super young now, that could be true. But onward and upward. Who you are, who you want to give your time and energy to, who and what you want to invest in. That word invest, where you're putting your time, focus, and energy. This is really what came up for me strongly. I think you're going to be realizing with real eyes, right? Uranus energy, those breakthroughs and epiphanies, realizing the answers to those questions this month. So the month begins with Scorpio season, the sun across from you, across in your 7th house, across from the 1st house of you. And that is, of course, a focus on committed partnerships. Now, when the sun transits our 7th house, that's usually quite lovely for relationships. And it can be your own relationship with the divine. It doesn't have to be a partner. A lot of people do not have a romantic partner. A lot of people we're all in different situations when it comes to partnerships. You could have a close relationship with an adult child or with a neighbor or with a best friend. And if you see them and spend a lot of time with them or have a lot of conversations, connections with them, they could fall into this seventh house as well at this time in your life. Keep in mind that the Sun, Mercury, and Venus in Scorpio this month will oppose Uranus multiple times. Each one will take its turn opposing Uranus in your first house. And what does this mean? It means that with Uranus back in your first house, it's only coming in a few degrees. With Uranus here again, you could be making another shift or subtle shift in how you see yourself, how you experience your own self-image. You could feel a shift in a relationship. You could feel a change in what you want to do, who you want to be. That's why I said those questions of where do I want to put my energy? What do I want to invest in? People, relationships, things, all of that. It can all be up for you. You could really be doing a review of all these things because Mercury will be retrograde. It will be retrograde in Scorpio. That means it's retrograding over the degrees in your seventh house of partnerships. So you could be doing that famous Mercury retrograde review. Your thoughts could be changing around relationship or a specific relationship or a relationship pattern could come to light for you. And that could be an awakening. That could be a breakthrough. You could leave behind, once you realize it, you could leave behind a way of perceiving, thinking about yourself. Maybe you haven't felt like you deserve subconsciously. I'm talking subconscious here. Maybe on a subconscious level, something's been in the way. Something's been blocking that receiving of love, receiving somebody who's simpatico with you, who's aligned with you, who's a good match for you. Or it could be a role, a job, a way of being, a purpose that you're releasing a belief or a block around aligning with that. So that would all be really positive for you this month. And then, beautiful Taurus, we have a full moon in your sign, your full moon. I love it when we have a full moon in our own sign. That is a full circle manifestation moment or an ending or a completion. Often something comes to light. We are illuminated around our identity, what role we want to play, who we want to be, a vocation, a passion. A full moon in your sign, because it's in your first house, can affect relationships, job, career, how you want to spend your time, retirement, semi-retirement. It can affect your fourth house of home and family as well, because it's an angle of your chart and those full moons are more intense. Not only that, after the full moon, 2 weeks later, we'll have a new moon in Scorpio. And that, of course, is your seventh house of partnerships. We've been talking about that. But that new moon will be the most intense transit of the month because Uranus will exactly oppose the sun and the moon. That's intense. That just is. It just is. I need a breath on that one. I probably don't need to say any more words about that. It's just, we're going to feel it. We're going to feel it. And, especially you, Taurus, with Uranus in your sign. Again, if you have any planets or points in the higher degrees, 24 to 29 degrees of your sign or the other fixed signs. Yeah, but that's a breakthrough. It's often a breakdown, breakthrough, breaking free, Taurus. And then on the 22nd, the energy will shift because the sun will leave Scorpio and it will enter Sagittarius. Now the sun will be in your 8th house of power and control, emotional attachments, transformation, shared resources, emotional and sexual intimacy, debts and taxes. And, this is the house of the things that can trigger us emotionally because we are so attached to them, our investments. If we have investments, homes, buying and selling, if that pertains to you. The sun here in the 8th house could very well be a new beginning for you here. You could be deciding that you want to start investing. You could be deciding that you want to buy a house. You could be deepening a relationship, or you could be taking a relationship to the next level from a partnership where you may be committed but you haven't lived together yet, or maybe When we move in with someone, that's often an 8th house transit. When we put our money together in some way, we pool money, we buy something together, we buy a home together, we buy a car together, whatever, that tends to can be an 8th house transit as well. Maybe you pay off a debt. Maybe you pay off a student loan. Maybe you get an inheritance. Mercury will be retrograde in Sagittarius also. So Mercury will not just retrograde in your 7th house, it will also retrograde in your 8th house. Actually, it will retrograde in your 8th house first. But big picture, just know that this month Mercury is retrograding in your 7th and your 8th house. And that means relationship stuff and shared money, shared resources, power control, power struggles, all of those things can fall into these areas. And again, we have those Uranus oppositions happening across from these houses as well. So it just really spices everything up and it ups the ante and it amplifies our emotions. But remember, this is helping you this month to let go of what doesn't serve you any longer, what is expired for you, soul contracts that are expired, karmic contracts that are expired, old energies leaving, onward and upward. Beautiful Taurus, I give you that as a little mantra if you like it. Onward and upward. Let us see, and maybe you want to claim that in the comments below. Let us see what the cards have to say for you. And before I pick a card for you, I want to say thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for supporting my work with your likes, your comments, your shares of this video, but also your subscribes. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, thank you for taking a moment, if you would, right now to subscribe so that we can stay connected. And also you can be part of the reason that I can do these videos. Okay. Beautiful Taurus. Let's see what the cards have for you. Taurus. Ooh, this is going to be a transformational month. I mean, we have to keep in mind that when the sun enters your 8th house, that is the house of transformation. We're in Scorpio season. That's transformation. Uranus is in your sign opposite all the planets transiting this Scorpio energy. And you got the snake shedding a skin. I am not surprised, but what I love about this card is the beauty in the shedding of the skin, the new life, the coming through a transformation into a new, more empowered self. And this is just such a gorgeous image, isn't it? All of the green, that's also connected to the heart. What do you think about this card? What do you see in this card, Taurus? If you want to let me know in the comments, I would love to hear. But I think it's something to celebrate, shedding a skin. I think it's something to celebrate because as we shed a skin, we become more and more empowered and more connected to our true self. It's really just peeling back the layers, right? Peeling back the layers and more getting connected to our hearts is what I'm feeling. Expressing the truth of who we are. What could be better than that? Beautiful Taurus. If you want to leave me a comment, I would love to hear. Aries. Hello, beautiful Aries. Aries. This month of November for you, your focus will be balancing the, as we say, me and the we. You, yourself, your identity, your needs, and especially your needs when it comes to finances, your earned income, your values, your self-love. Balancing that, your deep intimacy with yourself, feeling like you deserve the things that you so desire, balancing that with the needs of others, your relationships, especially the relationships in which you share time, money, and resources. There's a strong financial theme for you this month. We'll get into that. But as a result of, a lot of energy happening on this axis in your chart, this is going to be quite, I believe, a transformational month for you. And your message is trust the process. There will be a bit of a roller coaster ride, as I speak about in part 1 of this video. It is meant to expand you, and you will expand, Aries, if you ride the wave. If you ride the waves of what could feel like ups and downs or chaos and unpredictability, if you ride that wave, you will expand. And expansion brings freedom. And Aries, I know that freedom is your battle cry. Freedom is very important for Aries. So the month opens with Scorpio season, the sun in your 8th house of transformation, power, control. That's a financial house. It's really deep emotional intimacy with other people, but it's also finances. All the things we talk about with like long-term assets, investments, and your home, especially if you own your home. Um, this is the house where we do financially, commit and make investments to things that we hope will be, will grow for us long term. And these are the things that we are emotionally attached to. We don't want the stock market going down if we have stock market investments. We don't want to lose our nest egg. We do want to grow our long-term financial security, right? That's what this house is. But it's more than that. It can be where we get an inheritance, where we pay off a debt, where we basically long-term feel more financially secure. So that's where the sun is for the first 3 weeks until the 22nd of the month. We have the first of our 2 lunations for this month. The first one is a Taurus full moon. It's happening in your second house of earned income. In Mercury retrograde, I'm already feeling it. It's already happening in my words. It's happening in your second house of earned income. And that is also the house of material security. So this financial theme values security in terms of feeling like you're worthy of what you desire. This is all very subconscious often. We can say, I'm worthy of this, that, and the other thing. Of course I want that. Of course I deserve this. And yet it's not showing up in our reality, often because there's a subconscious limiting belief that is, and it's amazing. I am amazed sometimes by what is underneath the surface that we would have no idea is there, that could be a block. So it's a full moon. It's an ending, completion, manifestation, something coming full circle. On a very practical level, it could be something coming into fruition for you financially, getting a raise, getting a promotion, starting a side gig, starting your own business, selling something, money coming in. It could be that, or it could be money going out. But it could also be an epiphany, because full moons often bring illuminations, and you could get a realization about something that has kept you from feeling lovable, deserving, abundant. You could be doing some inner work around lack and abundance during this time. Keep in mind that the sun, Mercury retrograde, and Venus will all transit in Scorpio energy, and they will all oppose Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And again, Uranus in Taurus is going to be transiting where the full moon is, your second house. So when we have Uranus in our second house, which you've already experienced before, you've experienced it, for many years, Aries, when we have that going on, and it will just transit the very last degrees of Taurus, but nevertheless, when it is, it's in the second house. Generally speaking, this is based on the rising signs. We can have differences based on the different house systems that we use. I use the Placidus house system in my readings, and so this can be a little bit different in the Placidus house system, but the themes nevertheless apply. I find that whether you're using whole sign or Placidus, and I don't want to confuse some of you. If I'm confusing some of you, just ignore what I'm saying. The themes still apply for all the signs, regardless of the house system. I have certainly seen that play out over and over. So what I was saying, though, is that because these various personal planets are going to oppose Uranus retrograde in Taurus, and Uranus is transiting your second house, sometimes that means we have unexpected circumstances that happen that shift something. We can have more money, we can have less money, or we can change something from the inside, especially when Uranus is retrograde. Then 2 weeks later, after the full moon, we have the new moon in Scorpio. The new moon in Scorpio will be in your 8th house of power, control, emotional attachments, the things that I talked about when I talked about the sun transiting in Scorpio for you. So a new moon here says, what do you want to give time, money, and energy to? What do you want to intend to create in this house of long-term financial security, emotional, sexual intimacy, deep intimacy, and bonding with others? And it will be an intense new moon because it opposes the sun and the moon together during this new moon. They oppose Uranus in Taurus. And that tends to be a discombobulating moment, again, if you're one of the ones most affected by the new moon, which I talk about in part 1 of this video, and I will do a separate video for you on this new moon as well. That will be my next video a week from now. The 22nd of the month, November 22nd, is when we feel the energy shift as the sun enters Sagittarius, leaves Scorpio, and goes into fiery, seeking, expansive, full of faith Sagittarius energy. So we get a faith boost. If you watch part 1, and I really encourage you to watch it if you haven't already, it's that last week of the month that we get a bunch of really positive transits. I am so happy for that. You know, we're also going to have another Uranus opposition at the end of the month, but we're going to have a full week. Other than that Uranus opposition, we're going to have a full week of very, very positive, faith-boosting transits, beginning with the sun entering Sagittarius. It's in perfect alignment with the themes of Sagittarius. And for you, it's going to be in your 9th house of expansion, higher learning, your beliefs, long-distance travel, broadcasting, podcasting, teaching, new adventures, new freedom. I love this so much for you. And keep in mind too that not only will the sun transit your 9th house during this time, which can be a new beginning, a new burst of energy and life for you, your life force feeling like you're waking up. You could be having some sort of awakening. Also, you could be traveling to another country. You could be having some sort of adventure, learning a language, going, taking a course, starting a degree program, a lot of different things that can be happening. But it's a house of expansion. It's waking you up to new possibilities. It's giving you a chance to have new adventures. Go for it. You need new adventures during this time, Aries. It's really good for you. Also, though, I was going to say Mercury retrograde will be transiting this house as well. So just know that anything that you are moving through during this time, especially in your thinking, this encourages you to shift your thinking. If you have a limiting belief, it encourages you to shift your mindset, your perceptions around something if there's something in the way. If you don't feel full freedom, adventure, you can do what you want, you can have what you want, this is the time to shift any belief around that, or to release yourself from anything oppressive. Like a lot of times in the 9th house, religion comes up, ways of thinking that have been oppressive to us, other people's philosophies that we don't align with anymore. Things like that. Maybe things we learned when we were kids from a teacher or from a parent, and they just don't fit us anymore. And this could be breaking free from that during this Mercury retrograde, especially because too, Uranus in Gemini is across from this 9th house. It's transiting your 3rd house, and that could really be waking you up to shifting your thinking as well, Aries. So let's see what the cards have to say for you. And before I pull a card, I want to genuinely thank you for your support of my channel, for liking, sharing, for commenting on my videos. I really appreciate it, for being with me here today, for sharing your time and energy and presence with me. And also for, if you haven't yet subscribed, please take a moment to subscribe. It makes more of a difference than you realize. So thank you for that. And let us now pull a card for you, Aries. And Aries, we do have something in common. I have my Mars in Aries, and you probably know that Aries energy is intimately linked to Mars energy. And so without the fire of you, Aries, in my chart, I would not have a lot of fire. So I'm grateful to Aries energy for that. Okay, Aries, your card is, ooh, I love this card. The Protection Guardian, drop your shields. I love this card so much. Basically, this card is saying, if you have had a shield up, if you have felt like you had to protect yourself, if you've had any walls up, I'm getting this message of abundance, because there's so much financial stuff happening for you this month in the transits. I just got this hint of, like, if you've had walls up to abundance, they could be subconscious. If you have had walls up to other people, if you have been protecting yourself in any way, this is saying you can drop your shield. You're being protected. You're being protected by Jupiter in Cancer, which is going to go retrograde and is bringing protection to all of us. And you see how she has this gem stone in her palm? It's like one of those iridescent green marbles, and she has it in her palm, and it's like, this is the heart. I feel like it's saying you don't have to protect your heart anymore. She's got green here too, green here. That's the heart chakra. All of the blue around is throat chakra energy. Use your voice, stand up for yourself. Aries, you don't usually have trouble standing up for yourself. You have this very strong inner spiritual warrior inside of you. But I feel like it's saying your heart is healed to the degree that you no longer need to put protection around. Of course, all of us putting light around us and making sure that we're only taking in our own energy and we're not absorbing other people's energy and all of that. That's helpful for everyone as a practice of life. But I think this is saying you've come a long way. You are protected by the guardians, and you can now drop your shield and enjoy life that much more. Beautiful Aries. Pisces. Hello, beautiful Pisces. Pisces, Neptune has now retrograded in your sign. Saturn earlier retrograded in your sign. If you haven't watched my video on Neptune retrograde, a lot of people I think have gotten comfort from that and have felt very supported by it. So I hope that you are able to receive that as well. Pisces, the focus for November for you, I feel this is going to be an expansive time for you. You're getting a lot of support. Jupiter in Cancer is flowing. I'm having Mercury retrograde like glitches in my head, in my mind. We're not there yet, but it's in its pre-shadow period and I'm feeling that. So thank you for bearing with me. Uranus in Taurus, it harmonizes with your energy. Also, Jupiter in Cancer harmonizes with your energy. This really is helpful, I believe, especially when we've got Saturn and Neptune going back to those later degrees, if you're one of the ones who has planets or points in the later degrees of your sign. But there's a wild card energy that is infused into this month of November because of the Uranus oppositions that I speak about in part 1 of this video. And it means, I believe, for you, not all of this, also where the sun and the moon will be, the lunations, new and full moons will be for you this month. A big theme for you is the adventure of growth and learning, awakening for some of you and new horizons, foreign travel or learning a language, learning another culture, or being on a quest, being a spiritual seeker, learning more, teaching more, broadcasting, podcasting. These are all potential themes. Big picture, it's an expansion for you of new metaphorical scenery, if not actual scenery, new ways of thinking, opening your mind up, spiritual awakening. The message that I got for you is if you are asking about what is next, this month is likely to bring you epiphanies that give you the answer to that. Notice what lights you up. Notice what sparks your aliveness. Notice also what is done and over for you and let it go. This month opens with Scorpio season, the sun in your 9th house of expansion. This is higher learning, beliefs, long distance travel, some of the things that I just mentioned, teaching and, writing, publishing, all of that, podcasting, it's all included. And this again is about expanding your mindset, changing your perceptions, opening up to new horizons. Keep in mind that the sun, Mercury retrograde, and Venus in Scorpio, transiting in Scorpio in this 9th house of adventure and expansion for you, opposing Uranus, which will be retrograde in Taurus in your 3rd house. This means more unexpected moments, the wild card energy that I mentioned. Uranus retrograding back into Taurus for you. It's going into your 3rd house of your local neighborhood, your mindset, websites, writing, learning, communication, the local dates you have, if you go to a yoga studio or a gym, even the conversations you have when you're standing in line to pay for your groceries, all these things, they're all included in this transit. And so because Mercury will be opposing Uranus, and Mercury will be retrograde, I really encourage you to back up your devices or to do all the things we say with Mercury retrograde, like, making sure you're not running on fumes with your gas tank, I do that sometimes, admittedly. I could just feel I can get there in time. For those of us who it's funny because I don't do this professionally. I always have plenty of time in my professional timing and all of that. But when it comes to, getting to the gym or, doing other things, I often will be like just in time. So anyway, this is not about me. This is about you, Pisces. I'm giving you examples, the things that we can do, because I think actually, Pisces, I think that you may be able to relate to getting lost in time, getting lost in the things you do, getting into the flow of life, right? I have a lot of Pisces energy in my chart too. I can just get into the flow and lose track of time. Mercury retrogrades remind us to pay attention to time and give ourselves extra time. And especially when we've got Uranus transits going on and when Mercury retrograde opposes Uranus in your third house of all of these mercurial things. That's the third house. It's ruled by Mercury. You could feel that more. So definitely, if you're traveling, if you are, if there's anything that could go wrong with a device, like usually we know if our computer has been acting up. We usually know if our device has been glitching. We usually know that, we've already gotten warnings, right? The computer's already frozen a number of times and things like that. Just paying attention to that stuff. So you don't get caught in the lurch, so to speak, left in the lurch, whatever that phrase is. Caught unaware, as we say, when really we were often with Mercury retrograde. We already got the warning signs, right? The check engine light, it already came on, stuff like that. You get the idea. The Taurus full moon will happen first. That'll be the first lunation. It will happen in your third house, the house I've just been talking about. This is, as all full moons are, completions, culminations, full circle moments, manifestations in this house of all your local everything, transactions, short trips, freelance work too, website work. Also relationships with siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, your like local neighborhood, mindset, most importantly, mindset and communication. Those are the biggest themes, shifting our perceptions, shifting any inner narrative around what we can have, what we can't have, what we deserve, all of that, because that inner narrative is often subconscious, or it's it's coming from a very, well, not or, it's the subconscious. It's coming from a very deep place that we can be blind to. We can often not realize it. But if we start to be aware of what the loops going on, or the things that are going on in our minds, since the mind is always talking, right? The mind is almost always talking, unless we're in a deep meditative moment or we're very focused on something else. That's the benefit of focusing the mind. But it also shows us where maybe we need to change a story, inner story or narrative. Pisces. And then we have a new moon in Scorpio. The moon cycles are switched. So we have the full moon and then the new moon, versus like what is more natural, which is a new moon first and then a full moon. Anyway, lately they've been the opposite. So we have the Taurus full moon, then we have the new moon in Scorpio. So the Taurus full moon, again, it will happen in your third house, and then the new moon across from that on the same axis will have the new moon in Scorpio in your ninth house. So the new moon is a fresh start. It's a new beginning. It's where we plant seeds. What do you want to experience in terms of your own growth, your own expansion, your own expression of your philosophies, the things that turn you on, that light you up, that make you feel excited, especially on a spiritual level or on an intellectual level. This is also the house of higher learning, degree programs, certification programs, courses that we take, travels that we make, and the things that we set up, like broadcasting. If we do a broadcast, if we make videos, if we publish books or blogs, if we it could be too where you're invited to do a podcast, maybe you're invited to be a guest on someone's podcast, or you're creating your own podcast. This new moon is opposite Uranus. So it's another jolt or shock or unexpected breakdown, potentially leading to a breakthrough and a breaking free. That's the big thing that we want to keep in mind this month, is that we are meant to transform and find more freedom and, really awaken to other possibilities and solutions and workarounds through Uranus moments. And Pisces, I don't know why I'm being drawn to tell you this in the moment, but I always trust what comes through. And what just came through when I was saying that is that when I lived in Mexico, which is, ninth house long distance travel and living in another country, when I moved to Mexico, I got an apartment through a family friend, and they were redoing it in some ways. They were doing some remodeling, not anything huge, but some. But they kept all the appliances. All the old appliances were kept. And what did that mean? It meant my refrigerator broke. And if you've been watching my videos for a year, last couple of years, you already heard the story. But my refrigerator must have broken 4 times while I was there, and I was newly there, and it was just really annoying to me. I'll be honest, it was so annoying because it was like, we know this refrigerator doesn't work. How many times does it have to break before we finally replace it? Well, the landlord finally replaced it, but it was very Uranus. I was having a major Uranus transit at the time, and Uranus rules electrical everything, electrical appliances. It rules our cars in terms of like the mechanics, and it rules anything with an engine, all that stuff. So I bring it up because if you have anything happen with anything electrical, it's also connected to the internet, and just making sure that you have, if there's anything that needs servicing, I would service it before we have this very amplified wild card new moon. But I think the reason that it came through was to say that, what did I learn from that experience? Quite honestly, I learned that even when I had these moments of frustration, anger, feeling like what my needs were not being taken care of, eventually I realized that I was being tested in a way. My ability to advocate for myself, my ability to know what I deserved, my ability to finally say enough is enough, that was part of my journey. It may not be part of your journey, but maybe somebody would benefit from hearing that story. Not accepting crumbs when you deserve the whole cookie, and when you're just tired of it, saying enough is enough. Somebody may need to hear that. This will be a great new moon for a breakthrough, because every breakdown brings a breakthrough if we are asking for it, intending it, opening up to receive it. And on the 22nd, Pisces, the energy will shift and the sun will enter Sagittarius. So the 22nd, the whole rest of the month, from the 22nd to the end of the month, as I share in part 1 of this video, all the transits after that are very positive. They're very supportive, and the energy, the sun will move into your 10th house of career, legacy, retirement or semi-retirement, passion, purpose, life purpose expressed, fulfillment, basically. Your public life, if you have any sort of public life, anything you want to share in the world. Pisces, a lot of you are artists. A lot of you, you create from your heart. You channel the energy of the divine into your artistic creations, a lot of you. And if it's not artistic, most of you are very, very creative. So I love the transit of the sun into your 10th house. The sun will be shining there. It will be boosting your energy, but also keep in mind that Mercury will retrograde into Sagittarius in your 10th house. And so take time to reassess if you need it. Take time to review, refine anything that's happening in your 10th house of career, because you could be ready for a change in career. You could be leaving a career. You could be retiring. You could be wanting to retire early, the whole financial freedom fire movement. You could be shifting how you want to spend your time, energy, your precious life, as Mary Oliver puts it. And if that's true for you, then, a Mercury retrograde there will help you to go over in your mind and your mindset and shift a perception perhaps that will free you, because this whole month really does want to free and liberate us and get us out of stagnation if we felt like we were in stagnation. So with that, Pisces, I'm shuffling for you, and I'm going to pull a card for you, and I am going to take a moment to say thank you so much for your participation, your presence, your comments, your likes, your being here. and subscribing to the channel. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't yet subscribed, because it does make a huge difference and it will allow me to keep my enthusiasm and passion up and continue to be here for you, which that is my soul's calling. It's what I love to do. I have my midheaven in Pisces and I have my south node in Pisces in my 10th house of career, Pisces. So what does that mean? It means that I am meant to give back the south node. I'm meant to give back this energy, but we're all also meant to receive, right? So thank you for allowing me to receive your support. Okay, Pisces. Pisces. The Hunter. I need my glasses to see. It's pretty much dark now. It says, track down your fears and your desires. Yes, track down your fears and your desires. You know what I love about this card? He's holding a bow, which is Sagittarius energy, and the sun will enter on the 22nd, your 10th house of career. That's the Sag bow and arrow. That's the Sag target, right? Pulling back the bow and aiming for a target. This is saying whatever fears you have and whatever desires you have, track them down. Be fiercely honest with yourself. Connect to them. Do you see the wisdom of the antlers and the courage of the antlers? And also these, I don't know, what are these called? To me, this is the bull. That's the Taurus energy where Uranus will be retrograding back to. Be the warrior, Pisces. Adorn yourself with beautiful paints, and be the warrior and set a target and pull back your arrow and aim for it. And sometimes we have to really get fiercely honest with ourselves about our fears that are in the way. You know, we know this. There's so many different fears we could have, right? I'll fail. Maybe I'll succeed. Maybe I'm too old. I need to lose weight first. I need to have a new wardrobe first. I need to move to a different country. I need, whatever it is. I need to be in a different home. I need to be with a different partner. We have all these reasons. This is saying what those fears are, it's time to track them down. And what your true heart's desire is, that is where your passion, your purpose, your energy, your spark, your aliveness, your ability to attract and connect to the divine and have the divine help you create that. Track them down, write them down, work with a coach or an astrologer like myself so that you can begin to fiercely move forward, beautiful Pisces. Aquarius, Aquarius. Beautiful Aquarius. Your month of November horoscope begins with a focus I want to share with you, and that is, I believe you're going to feel this month more intensely. Why? Because Uranus is retrograding back into Taurus, and it affects all the fixed signs more intensely, and that is you. You're going to be balancing your heart's desires, your commitments, your motivation and drive around career or purpose or passion, retirement, semi-retirement, legacy, how you want to spend your time. You're going to be balancing that with your home and family priorities. Those are the most important themes this month. Your message is give yourself permission to follow your heart, because this is what's going to free and liberate you. And this is a month of freedom and liberation, for sure. A very strong theme. Especially because we don't know the outcome. The truth has yet to be revealed. We don't know the whole story this month. We are really meant to stay true to our own hearts. And the month opens for you, Aquarius, with the sun in your 10th house of career. So when the sun shines on our house of career, life purpose express, legacy, retirement, the things I already mentioned, vocation, passion, fulfillment, usually we feel an uplift there. We usually feel a burst of energy there. But we want to keep in mind that where the sun is going to be, Uranus, when it retrogrades back into Taurus, is also going to be opposing not just the sun, but Mercury retrograde. Mercury will retrograde in your 10th house of career, and Venus will also be opposing Uranus in that house. So what does that mean? We've got these personal planets that are transiting your house of career, and especially because Mercury is retrograding there, you might be rethinking what you're doing for career, rethinking how you're doing your career, thinking, and again, some people say, tell me, I don't have a career. What does this mean for me? However you spend your time, whatever you do, whatever you want to do, whatever's important to you. For some people, it's if you're retired or you don't need to work a job or you don't have your own business, it could be volunteering or working in the garden or building, things you do for hobbies if you don't have work, or it's often a passion or what we call vocation because it's what we would do even if we didn't have to get paid for it. So that's what, the sun will be here for 3 weeks, most of the month. And while it's here, that's when we're going to be feeling potentially a lot of these discombobulating Uranus moments. We have a Taurus full moon, and that's our first lunation, and that is a completion, manifestation, fruition, full circle moment for you in your 4th house of family, childhood conditioning, roots, and belonging. When we have a full moon in a particular house, there's often some sort of ending, some sort of closing out for you. So that means, Aquarius, some of you could be moving, some of you could be remodeling, some of you could be tearing something down and building something new. You could be, taking the house down to the studs, as we say. You could be doing that on a metaphorical level with your own inner self. This is the house of childhood conditioning. This is the house of inner child healing, healing our ancestral line, healing the mother line. So you could be doing an inner excavation, or you could be doing an outer renovation of an actual home, or healing a relationship with a family member, or spending more time, or maybe some of you are reuniting with a family member. Maybe someone's moving out of your house, a roommate's moving out, a child is moving out, or child's moving back in. I mean, any of these things that could be happening. Obviously, these are just examples. You apply these themes to your own life, beautiful Aquarius. You could be selling a home or renting a new place, if I didn't say that already. But again, because we have these Uranus oppositions, keep in mind that this along this axis of your 4th house of home and your career house, expect the unexpected, expect moments that are meant to, sometimes it could be a breakdown, it could be something in your home breaking down, so that you can, often when we have a Uranus breakdown, it's because we haven't been honoring our needs enough. We haven't been speaking up for ourselves. We haven't gotten the thing fixed that should have been fixed a long time ago. We haven't been holding ourselves in enough esteem often, or giving ourselves what we need. So if that happens, or it can show us where we've had shame, where we've had something deep inside that we need to clear emotionally. We have a new moon in Scorpio after the full moon. And the new moon in Scorpio will be, of course, like all new moons, a time to set intentions for a new beginning, for a new manifestational cycle, a fresh new breeze blowing into your life. That's a new moon. It's time of reflection. It's a dark moon. That is happening in your 10th house of career. So there is a new beginning that's meant to happen in that 10th house of how do you want to spend your time? What do you want to express? What do you want to contribute? Again, it's all those things, not just career, legacy, retirement, semi-retirement, life purpose expressed, vocation, passion, fulfillment. It's all those things. But this new moon is going to be very intense because Uranus will oppose the new moon directly. The new moon will oppose Uranus. The sun and the moon will be opposite Uranus, and they will be talking to each other. And that is often something coming to light that we didn't see before. It can be an epiphany. It can be a breakthrough in the mind. It can be, and those are the ones we like, right? Because they don't involve something physical. They don't involve the car breaking down. They don't involve, and I want to say be extra careful when you're operating any heavy machinery. For any Uranus transit, you want to really be careful about traveling. We had a Uranus transit recently. I can't remember when it was now, but I had somebody run a red light and cross in front of me, and I fortunately was very attuned to what I was doing, was able to veer out of the way, but it was so split second, and it was a day where we were having a hard Uranus transit. So we just want to be really awake and aware on those days. And for new moons, it's, could be several days before, several days off after. Often it's the day before, the day of, or the day after that something happens. Usually before. It's usually, and we're going to have a direct, exact opposition from Mars to Uranus the day before this new moon. Part one of this video, I go through all the transits and the key dates and all of that. So it's an awakening new moon. It wants to show us what we haven't seen before. Not everybody will have a discombobulating, scary moment by any means, or something break down. Not all of us will have that. But, if you have planets or points in the high degrees of your sign Aquarius, and you could use a little nudge or boost from the universe to say, wake up to this or that, then that could happen. They're quick passing moments usually. It's rarely something, life changing. It's often it can be, but it's often just something that wakes us up to where we could be taking better care of ourselves and our hearts. So on the 22nd of the month, the energy will shift as the sun enters Sagittarius, fiery, seeking Sagittarius. It's an uplifting energy, and I love that it's happening for you. And it makes a really nice sextile to your energy. It's very harmonious. It often brings opportunities and workarounds and new ways to do things and think of things. It's great for a tangible, positive shift in your life. And it's happening for you. The sun will move into your 11th house. So it'll leave your 10th house. It'll go into the 11th house of friends, supporters, social media platforms, communities, online dating, long-term financial gains, promotion and branding of a product or a service, and the world. It's a completion. The world, the card of the tarot and representing the world, is a completion. It's a new cycle. Aquarius, do you feel like you're starting a new cycle? Do you feel like you're starting a new phase of your life? Even some of you could be. It's a coming out. It's like almost like looking at a globe, looking at the world and saying, where do I want to go? And it doesn't mean that you're going to be traveling long distance, but some of you probably will. It could mean, who do I want to connect with? There's a whole global world online, right? There are a lot of ways of YouTube is that. What does your heart want? What are you ready to devote your time, energy, money to? Keep in mind that Mercury will retrograde in Sagittarius also. So it will also retrograde in your 11th house, meaning people that you meet, for example, or groups you attend or communities that you engage in, any kind of promotion that you're doing, if you're doing that, putting the message out about something, that could shift or change with them if you initiate it during a Mercury retrograde. Or it could be something you started before and now you're coming back to it, which is a great use of Mercury retrograde energy. So Aquarius, I am going to shuffle for you now so I can pull a card for you. And I want to take a moment to say thank you very much for your time, presence, and energy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel with your likes, your comments, and your subscribes. If you haven't subscribed, if you would take a moment right now to tap the subscribe button so that I can feel your support, because it makes a huge difference, and I'm really grateful for it. So thank you for being part of what we're all doing here together. It means everything to me. Let us pull a card for you now, Aquarius, for your month of November. Aquarius. Your card is, Aquarius. This is your energy. Whenever I see like a galactic sky, that always reminds me of you, because you're co-ruled by Saturn, but also Uranus, and Uranus is the cosmic intelligence, the stars. And look at this card. Look at the background of the card. All the stars. It's so you. Guardian angel, you are not alone. What I love about this card is the eye, which is the eye of awareness, and then the sun and the moon. This reminds me of a new moon, and that new moon is going to be in Scorpio. And look at the sacred geometry behind the feather. To me, this is taking you deep into your own cosmic awareness, Aquarius. With that Uranus as your co-ruler, there you have, there's a deep creativity to you. There's a cosmic beingness to all of us, but you have special access to it. Special access to it, Aquarius, with your, what we call your creative brilliance, your genius. And for some of you, you will relate to this star, the sacred geometry, these triangles. There are two triangles in, I can't think of the language but they're basically superimposed. One is pointing up and one is pointing down, right? And that is, there's like, this could be an activation of your third eye too. What do you see in this card, Aquarius? You might want to leave me a comment and share with all of us what you see. But if you see a white feather or any feather, that could be a sign for you too that your guardian angel is here. And remember, we all have a guardian angel. You might want to talk to your guardian angel. You might want to channel your guardian angels the way that they protect you. You may want to ask them for help and support. You are not alone. You are not alone, beautiful Aquarius. If anything I shared resonates and you want to share with me in the comments, I would love to hear. Capricorn. Hello, beautiful Capricorn. Capricorn, I think this is going to be a great month for you. Why do I say this? You are dreaming a new dream. That, I believe, is your focus for this month. You are going to have new and full moons in my favorite houses, which are the 5th house of creativity, love, romance, children, and the 11th house of the world is your oyster, fulfillment. What do you want to create next? It is a very creative month for you, and it is really inspiring you to get out to, whether it's online or actually in person, to expand your horizons, to get out, to make more connections, to embrace the magic of the universe as well. So my message for you is to allow yourself to dream, allow yourself to let down any, preconceived notions of how things should be, how life was, to release your past, to open up to a whole brand new, it could be an awakening for some of you. And let's talk about all of this more specifically. The month begins with the sun shining in your 11th house of the world. The 11th house is friends, supporters, allies, online communities. It is, for some of you, if you want to do online dating, but also could be making new friends if you're already in a partnership, or you don't want to have a love relationship. And this is not just romantic. I'm talking about all relationships. You could really energize yourself by meeting new people, finding your tribe, finding people who align with you, who are like-minded. Also, if you want to start something new that you get paid for, or that is your way of giving back, you could be promoting or branding a new product, a service, or, writing about, you could be using social media platforms to do videos or write, or, putting your articles out into the world, or with a community or with a small group of people. It really doesn't matter. I mean, the 11th house is where we can have like groups out of our living room. One of the first things that I did when I was first starting spiritual coaching was I had the moms of my kids' friends come over, and I did like an introductory meeting course. It was like my own little mini course. I called it Reconnecting with Your Spirit. And we started out of my living room. That's a very 11th house thing to do. Just one example, but you could take that as a metaphor to starting something new, or, it's about like getting connected. Like I'm seeing this whole web of connectivity, energetic web. And I think a lot of you are probably really ready to have more of those conscious connections with like-minded people who fill you up and make you feel enthused and excited about what inspires your heart. When we have a transit in the 11th house, because it's associated with the World card in the tarot, it's associated with completing a cycle. You're completing a cycle, Capricorn, and you're beginning a new one. The first lunation we're going to have this month is the Taurus full moon. And it is, like all full moons, a completion, manifestation, illumination, something being revealed to you in your 5th house of creativity, creative expression, love, romance, or children, or all of the above. Your inner child delight, your creative muse. It's a time for you to be inspired. So the 5th house, 5th house, we can be inspired by love, right? And this doesn't have to be new love. It can be your current lover or partner, or your vision for a love relationship, or your vision for a great date. We can make it as simple as you want to make it. But I think some of you may feel like you're receiving the fruits of your labor, perhaps, in any of these areas. But keep in mind that that full moon includes an opposition from Mars to Uranus. It's not an opposition to the moon itself, which definitely helps in terms of its discombobulating kind of energy, Uranus energy. But the Sun, Mercury, and Venus this month in Scorpio in your 11th house, which we talked about at the beginning, in your 11th house of the world and communities and, getting your spidey senses connected to the web of other people. It's funny because I just got an image of a spider's web, and the spider in the middle, and that's a representation of creativity, what the spider does and how it spins creates its own web. Some of you may get an intuitive sense of hit on that. But because the Sun, Mercury retrograde, and Venus will all be in transiting your 11th house and opposing Uranus retrograde in your 5th house, and the Taurus full moon is in the 5th house, you could be revisiting changes that happened when Uranus, for so many years, was transiting your 5th house. What is a Uranus transit to the 5th house? Just as a refresher, it's changes, liberation, freedom, the universe wanting us to change up how we express our creativity, how we are in love and romance, how we are with children, or it can be changes that children around us experience. There could be children in your life, whether they're your own children or someone else's children, that are close to you that have also gone through changes. And that's Uranus can show up in that way as well. So that's part of the signature of this full moon. And then, but Taurus energy is we always want a life upgrade in material ways with Taurus energy. We want things to feel good, look good, beautify, all those things. And then the new moon in Scorpio happens after the Taurus full moon, and that is your intentions for a new beginning, a new vision, a new fresh start in your 11th house, which is, again, communities, friends, supporters, branding, the world. And then on the 22nd of the month, the energy I also want to say that Scorpio new moon, Uranus I'm feeling a spider crawling on me or something. The new moon in Scorpio, I have to say Uranus will oppose that new moon, and directly. The new moon will oppose Uranus is exactly the correct way to say it. Sun and the moon will oppose Uranus. We feel that when it's a lunation, we feel the moon transits when the moon itself is activated. We feel that even more strongly. So that will be definitely a wild card new moon for sure. And then on the 22nd, and what do I say about that? Go with the flow. You will handle anything that happens. If something happens, we won't all get a Uranus moment, but if it does, look for the teaching in it, because there's always a message. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. There is a message, a divine download that we're meant to receive. What am I supposed to do with this information, right? What are you telling me, universe? Are you telling me to do this, that, or the other thing? Uranus is a very future focused, make a change, do a shift, think about this differently, stop procrastinating, give yourself this, that, or the other thing. Don't withhold from yourself if you've been withholding something, and so on. On the 22nd, November 22nd, the energy will shift when the sun leaves Scorpio and enters Sagittarius. Now it's in fiery energy. Now it's in seeking, quest, expansion mode, and that's in your 12th house. You will likely, with the sun moving into your 12th house, very possibly, especially because Mercury will also retrograde in the 12th house, receive a revelation. You will likely get messages in your dreams. You may need more rest and retreat. You may dive into your mystical self, your ancestral mystical roots, karmic ties, karmic relationships fall in the 12th house. Astral travel, channeling. taking a course perhaps in any of the intuitive arts, reprogramming your subconscious mind, travel to foreign lands, considering moving to a foreign land. Just know that because Mercury retrograde is transiting this 12th house as well, that anything that you plan or start during a Mercury retrograde can often end up changing, or it'll be in flux. Something could change unless you're fixing, refining, reviewing, changing something that happened before that needs redoing. If you're doing that kind of, attending to something from your past or attending to something that needs review and refining or organizing or fixing, then you're taking care of it now. And that's what this Mercury retrograde is for. If you make a foreign travel plan for the very first time and you haven't thought about it before, then that's an example of something that could end up changing. Not always, but a lot of times new information comes to light. I talk about, in the first part of this video, I talk about the midpoint of Mercury retrograde, and often we get the revelation we need by the midpoint, which would be the 19th of the month. And then from then on, often it's easier to plan going forward without changes, but even that, we could still get changes. Okay. Okay, so Capricorn, I'm going to pull a card for you. And before I do, I want to say thank you so much for your time, energy, presence. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you to all of you who have gotten astrology consultations, readings with me. I cherish my time with you online, and I really want to say thank you for support of the work. If you haven't subscribed, please take a moment to subscribe and know that I am available for astrology readings, and I absolutely love meeting you on Zoom. And with that said, let us pull a card for you now. Capricorn, for your November 2025, your card is the Shield Maiden. Make plans and focus. So this is saying, first of all, look at this card. She is confident, right? Look at her expression. She's confident. I love the paint that's coming down from her eye. She is saying, I've got this, right? Look at her confidence. You may want to embody her confidence. She is a maiden, but she has a shield. And I shouldn't say but. She is a maiden, and she has the energy of youthfulness. That's what I associate with the maiden. She has the innocence and joy of being newer to the planet, let's say, than someone who's been on the planet for many decades. And I'm practicing not the buts, instead using and, including everything. And she is saying it is safe to make a plan and to focus. Use your energy this month to focus, because if you do, you will flourish and you will receive the rewards from flourishing, beautiful Capricorn. And if anything that I shared in this reading sparks a comment from you, leave it down below. I would love to hear. My beautiful friend, thank you so much for joining me for November's astrology. Going to be quite the wild ride. I'm excited for it, and I am here to support you. Thank you for liking this video, for commenting, for sharing, for subscribing to the channel so that the algorithm puts this video out to more people. In this way, you very much support the work. If you would like to do an astrology consultation with me or a coaching session, go to my website, check out the testimonials that other clients have shared after working with me. For astrology consultations, we can do a life purpose, heart's desire, relationship harmony. I also offer 90-minute astrology consultations for those of you who want to do a deeper dive, who want more time to go into something that is of concern for you. You want to know when the transits are going to, the hard ones are going to end, when you may receive new uplifting transits. This and more I'm excited to share with you. The links to my astrology and coaching pages are in the description box below. So check those out, and it will be my absolute joy to meet you on Zoom. As promised, I have a free gift for you. It is a soothing guided meditation, reconnecting you to your higher guidance, to your loving spiritual guides. If you would like to receive that, go to my website, sign up for free to get my weekly inspirational astrology updates, and you'll get that free instant download gift right away. Let me know how you are feeling about the astrology of November. And until my next video, I am sending you all my love.